A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dictors. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop up the cork, have a glass of wine, pass fail safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Well, I do believe that is our cue.
Oh my god, Batwoman finally got its Batman.
Exactly. Oh shit. I'm not gonna lie,
fine.
man. What I'm wearing right now is incredibly uncomfortable.
The eyes, I can't say.
Ah! Oh, wait. I might be able to fix this one. Hold on.
For the record, I hadn't seen this before, chat. I didn't know this was coming.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can fix it. There we go.
There you go.
There's not even ears on this thing, but I'm going to try and make this work. There we go. Perfect.
See some glue. My
Yeah.
God. We did it.
Yeah.
It's Halloween. Woo! But look at him.
Yeah.
Scariest outfit you've ever seen. You never want to see Batman like this.
Indeed, yeah. I never want to see Batman like this as well. I tell you what, though, having worn this for all of like 10, 15 minutes before we started this, I've come to sympathize with the actors who had to wear the Batman outfit because, wow, it's uncomfortable. And this is just like a cheapy knockoff version. Like, I would not want to wear like the full Kevlar rubber like ensemble.
It's all right. You know what? They get paid a lot, so it softens the blow a little bit.
They do indeed. But well, welcome everyone to Open Bar for our spooky little Halloween special. Cheers to you.
Cheers indeed. Oh, Halloween. It's so wonderful. And to fall directly on the day of Open Bar. How wonderful again.
It's nice, yeah. It's nice that time worked out quite nicely for us on this one. And, well, it being Halloween, we thought we're not going to do the usual open bar stuff where we just rant about the news of the week or whatever. We thought we'll do a Halloween spooky themed episode where we just talk about some of our favorite horror movies. We'll play a few games and we'll have a few laughs. So
yeah,
that seems like the way forward. But anyway, for this, we are going to need a crew of people. We're going to need our guests, and my sunglasses keep sliding down, so apologies. Anyway, with that in mind, let us bring in Northern English Bastard, Disparu, Nerdrotic, Echo Chamberlain. Hello, you guys. Welcome this evening.
Hello, you gruesome bastards.
I'm kind of curious to see what Gary is going to be.
Wait, I've got something for you. Hang on.
Oh, just for me.
Where's the trigger? Where is it? You're not going to give it to an ordinary citizen. Where is it?
Where is it?
Where are they? No, seriously, where are they?
Seriously. Yeah, I have to break it out one more time. Sorry. I mean, I could do a costume change. I have a couple costumes, but Captain African American is here.
Beautiful.
Do better.
Absolutely beautiful.
I voted today, and it wasn't hard for me to get an ID.
Did you vote like that?
I wish I did, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I didn't. I should have.
Just to see if they'd let you.
Yeah. Greetings.
Hey, Bob.
Greetings to you, Gary. It is a pleasure to have you on board again. That
Thank
hair
you.
is luscious. I am very
Isn't it
jealous.
though? Yeah, I might make it permanent.
Tell you what, I'm going to have to take this fucking cowl off because I cannot talk and do a live stream like this.
Pussy.
It's awful.
That's because the suit is only perfect when it makes to fit a woman.
It doesn't fit a woman, exactly, so it is not perfect right now. But,
that suit is based after the Pattinson Batman, right?
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it looks
think,
like very garbage bag like.
yeah. This is what 50 quid off Amazon will get you, so, you know. Stuff. But
I paid $37 for this.
Wait, let me just take this thing off. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment or two while I try and remove it.
Sure. Why are we all here on a happy Halloween night? Shouldn't you be out doing happy Halloween things? Gosh, you're all losers.
I know. Hey,
my Halloween was yesterday.
The Batman.
We'll be on. I will be tomorrow though, because it's because the people who are hosting it out at work tonight, so they can't do it until Saturday. So it's very belated, but still should be a fun night.
There you go.
A Southern Hemisphere Halloween is completely ridiculous because the sun doesn't set till 8 p.m. So you've got kids walking around as goblins and witches when it's blazing hot sunshine. So that's not spooky in the slightest. So that's where we're at.
Yeah,
God,
it's
he looks
Halloween in the
normal
middle
again.
of summer. I always knew there was something fundamentally wrong with you people in the Southern Hemisphere, and
Yeah, I know.
now it's been confirmed. You can't even celebrate Halloween properly, and it's
No.
you know the leaves aren't even falling off the trees or anything.
Mhm.
How do you get in the
Embarrassing, yeah.
mood? I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But yes,
Hey,
gentlemen.
Drinker, did you know the Batman movie starts on Thursday, October 31st?
Whoa.
Whoa!
For real.
Wow, it's almost like I planned it so that
You
I can
did.
wear this outfit just for that. It's not just because I happen to want to wear a Batman outfit for once in my life.
I think everybody does.
Yeah,
You have to
I
do
liked
once.
it. I feel powerful wearing it.
You're
There's
gonna go beat
like-
up some criminals?
I'm
You're gonna beat up some
tempted.
penguins?
I'd stagger
Like
after
half of
criminals, but I feel like I wouldn't have the cardio to catch them. So, like, you know, if they
That's
run,
you
I'm
got a
done.
batarang for.
It's like most of the police.
yeah,
Grappling hook.
yeah.
For that,
suppose-
most girlfriends that want to get away.
yeah.
What would be the Scottish equivalent of the Bat car?
Probably be like a Ford Escort or
Milk
something.
van.
Yeah, it'd be a cut and shot as well, so it'd be like two different cars welded together.
What's those little like little children like the little like shopping cart mart little toy things that they get in? I could picture a Batman superhero in that for Scotland. It'd be great.
I think he would know. You know what he'd drive? He'd be driving an ice cream van because they always sell drugs and stuff. And I feel like he would use that to lure the criminals in, and then he would just like punch them and knock them out or something.
Free crime with an arrow at the back.
Yeah.
I feel that if it was in Scotland and there was two boats with criminals on one and innocent on the other, then the criminals would just blow up the innocent boat like straight away. That's what I feel would be the attitude with the
Yeah, I don't think there would be any mercy there. Scotland
would have
would
done the
not
same
show
thing.
you the good that's in it.
100 in that movie. 100% if he's like, oh, there's a load of criminals over there, and it's either you or that. Boom. Like, I wouldn't even think about it. The most farcical elements of that film is that either party thought about it. You're definitely not going to be on the boat
Well,
that
there's
lets
innocent
yourself explode.
guards on the other boat. So that's an acceptable
Well,
law.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
would have
that
been
old
easily
guy who had
overpowered.
the bomb. he
Harry, they
fucking
knew what
thought
they were
that.
getting into. They knew.
And, you know,
I mean,
it's by degrees. Like, if you have like women and children on one boat and like a bunch of criminals and a few guys who are guarding them on the other, it's like, well, I know who I would sacrifice if I had to.
The thing is, I've like talked about that to several people who have said like, I absolutely would have fucking pulled it. It's like, I guess we can't know until the moment, but I would have thought at least one person on that boat would be like, fuck this. I'm not going to have all of us die. Like, it would make
You
no
always
sense.
have
You
to
know,
pick the
especially-
one fucking guy who can't do it. It always has to be the one guy who can't do it that gets picked to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, like someone would grab it off him or whatever. Because it's like, say, a guy who's got, you know, wife and kids at home or whatever. It's like, well, I'm not going to make orphans of them. So fuck that.
Well, because
I'm going to.
There's something curious about the film because Batman ends up stopping the Joker from blowing them both up. But had he not, that would have been an unfortunate ending. You know, as in like, well, I guess they should have blown each other up, huh? Now they're both dead.
I think if you
No,
had hundreds
Batman.
of police officers stuck down in the Glasgow sewers for however long, I think that
Oh my
I'm so
God.
traumatized by the smell and
I
disgusting
mean,
rankness
yeah, the
of-
average human's not going to last more than 5 minutes down there. Never
Yeah,
mind
but they're
6
getting paid
months
by
or
the
whatever.
hour, though. They're getting paid by the bloody hour. So, yeah, at least they get an easy shift there, don't they?
Do you think they got hazard pay, or no? In fact, do you think they got overtime for that and back pay? Because
Oh, yeah,
like
they
they
probably
essentially were down there for what? 6
Nah, the government
months or
didn't.
something?
The government just fucking found a loophole and just didn't pay them the overtime.
I
That
tell you
was,
what's good though, right? Is the fact that they were able to lower down like fresh uniforms, laundry facilities,
Shaving
kits, yeah, like food, water, medical supplies, everything you would need to survive down there, and come out looking pristine at the
Mhm.
end.
Yeah, I never got that fair ending of the Dark Knight Rises. We need to set the criminals out so we know that the world will be terrible with criminals running amok. Yeah, we already know that. You don't need to actually do it. Just
It's kind of like that. Yeah, it's like that
Oh.
documentary of like, if I eat McDonald's 3 times a day for like a month, will it make me fat? Yeah, it fucking will. Like, next obvious
Well,
thing.
I used to think that was and I still, Dark Knight Rises is utterly ridiculous. Like a city being cut off and criminal elements taken over. And then, you know, the last 4 years happened and now it looks prophetic. So
it was
There you
kind of
go.
bad in Batman Begins already, though, because, you know, Ra's al Ghul but it's called Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. He actually says, "We started the despair that got your parents killed to send the city into more despair." It's like, what was the whole fucking point of that? Why did you not just let
Despair
it-
was the point.
What was the point of exploding the water? What the fuck plan was that?
Fuck you, water.
No, but they're trying to set out this bloody point, and they start this whole thing that's trying to prove the point. It's really confusing. In the comics, they just want to destroy all the criminals. That's it.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
Just kill all the criminals. If you want a crime-free Gotham, don't just kill innocent people are doing it. Just go out and kill all the criminals. You're very good at keeping
Don't
invisible.
just do that. Do both.
I'm Ra's al Ghul's destiny.
I can't seem
Yeah.
to press this button.
If you, what is it? The Glasgow Rangers. If you interrupted one of their matches with a megaphone, you'd have a riot. Like, why are you stopping our football match? We don't want to hear you.
That would be so funny. Bane's like, all right, I got a big old horrible plan. And they're like, shut the fuck up, Bane. We're playing football.
Is that a soccer team?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
They'd start throwing like empty beer cans and stuff at him, like you'd be pelted off the pitch, basically. Like even after he'd blown up, like the pitch and like leveled half of it, like they'd still have a go at him.
Yeah, him and his man are gunning
like,
everyone down.
We can
They
still do it. We
get
can still have this game.
Those football matches back in the 70s or 80s, they must have been wild, man. Between those two Scottish teams, where everyone's just hanging
They
out
still
for
are.
riots and fights and skirmishes. Must have
They
been
used
wild.
to. I don't know if they ever did this in places like America, but like there would be cages essentially for each of the sections of the stands. So like, you know, they had such a problem with rival fans climbing over into the other section and fighting each other or throwing stuff at each other. They would put them in cages essentially like animals, like it was a zoo. And that was how they separated them. But then they had things like the Hillsborough disaster where they all got crushed, and there was no way for them to get out. So they thought, that's probably not a good idea. Actually, we need to do away with that. But yeah, it was like some of these matches were crazy back in the day, man.
Flip side of that, Gary, is in the US where it's so overwrought. You have F-16 flyovers and marching bands and all this razzmatazz. It's such a spectacle.
There's always stuff going on in games there, like even like a basketball game. I've even been to a few in my time, and though like at the halftime, they'll have like people firing t-shirts into the crowd. They'll have a fucking blimp, like a little mini one that just flies around, dropping like little prizes into the crowd and stuff. It's like they never get left alone for more than like 30 seconds without some kind of entertainment going on. It's great.
Yeah, Gary, America has given the world so much. The kiss cam, the gigantic foam finger.
Yes.
So much.
You're welcome.
So much.
You're welcome. That's all I've got to say. Well, I mean, like you guys should do that during your soccer game since nothing is fucking happening for like an hour,
What's
into
soccer?
it.
That's where they get warm beer.
This is from the country that invented baseball. Like,
the most
the most boring sport in the world.
We ripped off baseball. Okay, baseball's ripped off from a couple of other sports. Let's get that right. Your fun little soccer games. Your guys, at halftime they get their little orange slices and their Capri Suns, and they probably all go out to pizza afterwards and watch the game.
Get pineapple.
That's what we did when we played soccer when I was 4.
Did you ever watch Ted Lasso at all?
No.
I can recommend that. It's a really fun show. Have you even heard of it or anything?
I've heard of Ted Lasso. Yeah, it's on Apple, right?
Yeah, second series goes down a bit, but
one of the shows on Apple that you forget about.
Kind of, yeah. But I honestly think it's quite like a heartwarming little show, and it's actually really funny at times. It does get a little bit overplayed towards the end, but yeah, the first season is pretty solid, pretty good fun, I would say. But yeah, it's like the clash of cultures, I guess, between America and Britain when he's brought over to coach a British football team. It's pretty good. Got some moments.
So that's what it's about.
Yes. So he's like an American football coach. Been really successful out in the States, and like he's brought over to the UK to coach a soccer team. And he can't really understand why, but it's essentially because the owner inherited the team from her husband in a divorce settlement, and she knows that he really cares about it, so she basically wants to sabotage the team by giving it the worst coach imaginable. So it's like, we'll bring in this fucking clueless idiot to coach them, And of course, they'll lose all their games and get relegated, and that's going to be her revenge. But then it gradually evolves beyond that, and like he kind of wins her over. But I won't spoil it too much.
Sounds like a Mr. Bean movie.
Yeah.
So Gary, when the Super Bowl's coming, do you tune in to the pre-game build-up, or to the build-up to the pre-game build-up, or to the build-up that presages the build-up to the pre-game
I
build-up?
used to tune into the pre-game show, which actually starts after the last Super Bowl, and it goes the entire year. When I used to care about American football, I'd watch every second of repetitive bullshit. Our backs are against the wall. We're going to give 110%. The key is to win the game. The key is to score more points than the other team.
It's the game of two halves.
It's crazy plan, but it might work.
It might work. I loved it all. And then football. Well, my football team left my city, and I just stopped caring about football. And then it went woke and stupid.
I never understood this thing about how American sporting franchises just change city or move from one coast to another. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's freaking horrible. If like you've been in a town supporting a shitty team that never won a championship for 50 years, and then they take off and they're probably going to win a Super Bowl in LA. Fucking makes me. But yeah, I was a Charger fan, San Diego Charger fan, born and raised. And when they left, I stopped caring about football, and all of a sudden my Sundays were free. It was awesome.
Nice.
Well, that's why I got so confused when every team had like an animal that everyone started calling them. So why don't you just call them where they are? It's like, no, they move around the country. I'm like, sorry. So
well, yeah,
because
we have
every different team.
We have the Arizona Cardinals. There's not a lot of Cardinals. It's not what Arizona is known for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point.
I like this one as well. There's two kinds of countries: those that embrace soccer and those that put a man on the moon.
Yeah.
It's funny though. If America actually did embrace football, and I'm not going to call it soccer, they'd probably be the best in the world because they've got so much money that they could throw into it, and they've got like an enormous pool of people that they could train up to do it. They probably would be the dominant country in the world if they really cared about it.
Oh yeah, everyone in New Zealand keeps their fingers and toes crossed that America never takes rugby seriously because they'll just destroy the rest of the world in that as well.
We probably won't. We've only got so much of an attention span. It's weird, yeah, because soccer, which is what I call it here in the States, because that's what it is incredibly popular. It is, but like it gets popular up to like a school level, and that's about it.
Yeah,
maybe
like there's. Yeah, I assume there's no like. I guess with American football, you get like college scholarships and stuff that will get you into the football team, and like that's like a huge money spinner for like the colleges and stuff out there. I take it there isn't an equivalent for soccer for Americans.
No, I mean not that big. I mean, football still rules here. Football rules this country, rules most of the big schools, and that's where most of the money goes. So it's just I don't know, and we kind of have too many sports. And they're falling back into like being specialized. Like even baseball ratings are down. Baseball is my favorite sport now because it's the only team that I have left in my hometown. But yeah, there's hockey, there's basketball, there's baseball. I don't think it'll ever crack through here. It's just not part of our culture at all. Plus, we like seeing the gladiators beat the crap out of each other. So
I can get behind that. Just while we were here, actually, there was a $50 super chat that came in, and I'm sorry I don't have the applause thing on a button just ready to go like you, Gary. Someone did. Yeah, there we go. Woo! Thank you. This one's from Melissa Cave, who says, "Hi, Drinker. You talk about hopeful stories with traditional heroes. My debut fantasy, Traitor Son, is out tomorrow. It's about knights settling new lands after a war, hoping to build homes and families. Do the promises of war ever survive the peace?" Well, I guess we'll find out in that book. But yeah, good on you, Melissa. I hope Traitor Son is successful. So well done for writing your first book. Nice,
excellent.
That's got to be a hard thing to do, trying to get into the habit of writing and getting your ideas down and trying to flesh them out. Because I've tried to do it a couple of times, but I am going to still keep trying to see if I can do it. But
it's George R.R. Martin struggles with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't talk to him about it.
Yeah. Got a couple of short stories, but that's it. I mean, and they're just outlines. They aren't really fleshed out, really. They could do with a lot more development, and still trying to figure that out.
I mean, Echo, you're a novelist yourself, aren't you? You've written a few books. I guess from one writer to another, like what's your method? Like how do you avoid running out of steam you know, and how do you just get through it? Because it is a bit of a grind.
Well, it's just the most exhilarating thing in the world for me. Like, I couldn't think of anything. Any day spent writing is a good day, immersing yourself in a world. And it's just the craft, organizing your sentences and trying to create meaning. And once a book gets past the halfway stage, then some real magic starts to happen, because the novel starts to take on its own nostalgia for itself, and it has its own weight and pathos that builds and develops, kind of irrespective of what you plan for it. And I really love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, are you a planner or a pantser?
I like to have a broad outline, but like Cormac McCarthy said, that if you plot everything, then to him that would be death, because you've got to leave yourself some room for surprises and growth in the story. So it's that nice little middle ground.
He's a very odd author. He's a very odd author, isn't he? Because if you read Not Country for Old Men, he barely uses the stuff like the grammar you need, and you kind of got to figure out what's happening. But that's why I listened to it on the audiobook. I didn't find that out until Toxic mentioned it to me. He's one of my YouTube friends, and he's ex-military, ex-convict, and he's written a book as well that he sent to me to read and check for any spelling mistakes, and it's very good. And I wish he would get it released, because he's got a talent. He really has. I'm hoping he does one day.
Yeah.
I tend to go down the plotting route, like kind of like Echo. I like to leave enough room where I can, you know, change things and improvise and stuff, and flesh it out more as I go. But I like to know where the story's going to go, especially when it's a sequel or part of a long running series. Like I can't just have it meander and go wherever it feels like. There's certain things that I need to accomplish by the time the story's over, and so like planning it out and plotting it definitely helps with that. Because you can avoid a lot of pitfalls as well. Like if you've written yourself into a corner, there is fucking nothing worse than getting like 2/3 of the way through a book and then realizing you have to go back and change like 50 or 60 pages worth because you've had a different idea or you want to take it in a different direction. That is a shit thing to have to do. So I will try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, do you always find little plot holes in your story and you think, oh fuck, I need to try and make that make more sense and make that make more sense too?
A little bit, but like I avoid the big stuff precisely because I plot it out, and so that's like me giving me my first sense check of my own work, if that makes sense. Then you write it, and there'll be things that come to mind as you go through, and it's like, okay, I'll change that, and then when I give it my first little editorial pass before I send it off to the publisher, I'll go back and I'll tidy up the things that I made a mental note to change as we go. But then you always get blindsided by stuff. Like sometimes your copy editor will come up with something like, hey, why didn't this character do this? Or what happened to this idea? And you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? I totally forgot about that. And like it always happens. But that's why you always need another pair of eyes on your work. You need someone else to look at it.
Brandon Sanderson forgot about 2 characters for an entire book and only realized when people were like, where did they go? He's like, oh, sorry. And I had to write them back in at the end. Like, so you said anyone could get lost and that kind of thing. But I always like the where something happens later on that kind of recontextualizes something earlier on. And now writers, like we had Lost, they have no idea where that story was going from. I don't think that story knows where it's going either. And they love to set up the mysteries. And it doesn't seem like at any point they've planned out the answer. And so they're desperately hoping they can come up with something that ties it all together later on and just keep delaying it and delaying it. It's more and more complex until
and
the
maybe
end
we'll
will
figure
never
something
be
out.
satisfying.
Yeah, well, the guys
never
that did Lost, they always claimed that they knew exactly how it was going to end.
Such
and like
bullshit.
everything
They had
else.
no idea.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
no
bullshit.
fucking way. You did not know.
Yeah, they said at this point, I think it was Abrams left and like just ditched them with the show that he was supposed to be making. And so they were just hoping to write another mystery next week because as they're going along, they're making up mysteries just to drag it out further and just hoping they can solve it later on. So it seems like it wasn't their fault and they just had to try and make something.
There's a really sweet thing where you go to sit down because you feel, I've got to re-edit this chapter, which I haven't properly edited. And then you forgot that you had edited it. And then you get to read it and go, oh, no, this looks great now. That's always sweet and nice.
Do you ever, you come back into, say, carry on where you started, and you might like jump back a little bit because it's like, well, I'm going to tidy up that chapter that I did yesterday because it was a bit rough. And you'll sometimes like have a nice little turn of phrase that you've come up with, and it's like, okay, I'm going to work that into a sentence, like a neat little saying or something like that. You put it in, and then as you're reading through, like 3 or 4 paragraphs later, there it fucking is. Your previous self did it, and you just forgot about it.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Yeah.
It happens, like.
But I like
Great.
exploring psychology. That's what matters. I like testing psychological ideas. Like the premise of this one is, can someone go through most of their life believing that they weren't manipulated or exploited when they were quite young, and they've held to that idea the most of their life, but then circumstances question that. So how can someone go from this idea of something which has been rock solid in their mind for decades as an intelligent, reasonable person, and then have to question that and ultimately come around to the other side? And then there's all the questions of, it was a different time. Why should your attitudes change? Because societies have. And so I like exploring all that psychological stuff and then kind of solving that puzzle and riddle by the end.
There's a lot to that. That's actually happens all the time. Evolutionary advantage. Children believe what authority figures tell them as a kid, because all the ones that they didn't believe they'd die if they jumped off a cliff, so they jumped off a cliff, they didn't breed. So children will you can tell them anything, they'll just believe it innately. And so if you do teach kids that, it becomes like a foundational principle for them, and they just build their entire world off it. And so you take out that foundational idea, everything collapses. I think this happens for a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff I was told as a kid that just isn't true. Even just as a principle, it just doesn't work. And I kind of think it's part of adulthood to go back and analyze what you were told as a kid and take out the ideas that just don't work.
I tell you, man, like when I think about what bullshit we're teaching kids now, like I can't wait for them to start confronting that when it runs into the brick wall of reality. They're going to have a wild experience when they grow up.
Yeah, it's very sad. Public schools are really messing kids up, saying that fucking men can have babies and women can have penises. It's very diabolical, and it's a total insult to biology. I think
every generation, I suppose, reckons with reality after they get out into the world and stuff. And I just think the current generation that's in school right now is going to have a very interesting time when they get out into the real world. But,
yeah, the good thing is, if the public schools don't educate our kids properly, someone else will, and it won't be our educators. It'll be the average man. Because the average man seems to be smarter than the fucking educators at the moment, from the experience I've got anyway. Yes.
Having had kids in the San Francisco public school system, I can say definitely yes. We've gone down a terrible road. Remember when I don't know about you guys, but in America, when I was young, 1,000 years ago, when we were using abacus, the teachers were fucking old. The teachers were old. Now we have all these kids teaching other kids with no life experience at all. And just what they have poisoned their mind from university, and American universities are a complete waste of time and money right now. Send your kid to trade school, have them learn something, for Christ's sake. But yeah, having walked them through that, I saw somebody mention it in chat. I believe in Santa Claus more than I believe in a trans kid. So there you go.
One of the issues is you have a child that goes to the education system, goes to get a degree, gets a teaching degree, then goes into a school. So they've been in the education system their entire life. And then they just recirculate
they just
everything.
Stay in school.
Yeah, so they've never had a job or actual a private space job. They've never. And
some of these professors are like, they're teaching people for business degrees, and they've never they've never worked in a business, much less run one.
It's always been one of the problems with, especially business degrees or anything like that, is that all the successful business people would set one up. And so you're essentially learning business from the people that couldn't do it themselves.
Well, yeah, it's like it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? It's like those who do, and those who can't teach.
I read like half of a book before I started.
Yeah.
That was enough.
I just want to say as well, just because this is going to jump away, and like I often miss the members' super chats and stuff. So Grendo Vivat has gifted 50 Critical Drinker memberships. So thank you, sir. You legend, you. Anyway, sorry.
I think
teachers used to be really old guys, and they would have like these established fiefdoms within the school, which they would jealously guard and kind of rule over, and have their tweed jackets. There's a scene in that Taika Waititi film Boy where there's a teacher during class who's got the window open and he's smoking his Dunhill cigarette and blowing smoke out the window while he's in the middle of the class. That's not just like fantasy; that used to actually happen.
I smoked pot in class.
Our teachers were fucking mugs when I was a kid. I mean, right. We would run rings round them. I mean, there was one time we were fucking sat at the desk with some of the lads having a laugh. One of the girls came over and started fucking grabbing his, reaching down to his trousers in front of us. It was like 13. I laughed our asses off, but when I think back to it now, Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. It really is.
I think
Yeah.
one of the issues at the moment is it's very stressful, like mentally stressful, to
Yeah.
take on board an idea that you've been taught and then think about it and realize you're wrong and like your entire life's been wrong. Especially it leads to realizing that you've been a horrible person for decades. And that combined with children being extremely weak now, like no one can be offended, triggered, blah, 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 blah. So you've essentially built a group of people who are not mentally capable of ever analyzing the fact they've ever been wrong. And they would rather double down than go through the stress, which they can't handle, of correcting their own opinion. And so you'll just find people constantly doubling down. No matter what the world throws at them, they will keep going on that road because it's easier to accept that. Well, it's easier just to accept unreality than it is to do the hard work to actually.
That's
live in
where
the
the
real world.
like religion aspect gets in with the message, right? You know, was particularly because that'll break a worldview. Instead of like having an opinion on an issue that you can agree with an individual with, it becomes a set of ordained opinions that you have to buy into and make part of your personality. It becomes your identity. That's the whole, you know, bugaboo about identity politics. And there's a lot of they were talking about that on Joe Rogan today with JD Vance, talking a lot about how this is very much like a religious doctrine now. That side that's why it's really hard for people to break, you know. And then we went through COVID and all that. That didn't help this generation either, by the way. Just want to say, missing school for a year.
Well, I can tell you this: I've spoken to teachers who are now dealing with the children who, like, their first year of what should have been primary school here in the UK was during the lockdowns, and to some extent the second year. And they've told me, like, these kids are a fucking nightmare now. Like, they've got no respect for authority. Like, they can't concentrate. They can't sit still. They're a nightmare during lessons. And it's because they had 2 years of essentially being at home doing whatever they felt like.
I have no sympathy for those teachers. They allowed this to happen. A lot of them did.
They ultimately, like, they didn't call the shots on this stuff. Like, this is
There were a lot of them
masters.
campaigning to be taught from home because they wanted to stay at home and teach.
Yeah, so
there was a lot of that in multiple
in California in particular. The union was fighting very hard to keep the kids at home for way long. I mean, it was a couple years in some aspects. In some parts of California, it was a couple effing years of homeschool. Right, my kid was close to graduating and had to repeat a grade. Right, so we had to go through all that. The one good thing is, again, in America, is those that homeschooling parents got to see what was going on, and a lot of them woke up to like, whoa, we have a serious problem with our schools right now.
It's not just kids in school as well; it's kids before school, because babies weren't recognizing facial expressions because every nest was masked up.
Yep.
It's how they learn to speak as well. They lip read as it's happening. It's one of the things.
Yeah, reading facial expressions is a very vital thing as well. It's how you can read someone without having them say a word to you. And it's another reason why we love movies, because movies can do a lot of that as well if you get a very good actor with a very well written, directed scene.
Allow me to read out a couple more super chats that are coming in, because there's some biggies coming in and I don't want to miss them as we go. So the first one here from Clonas Teve Dreamkiller says, "Here's to old teachers and Trump." Okay, sure. And the next one is from Vim Child Soldier, says, "For the whole panel, where do you think you would stay alive the longest? The Lewis and Clark / Event Horizon, or Outpost 31 from The Thing, the town of Bridgeton in Maine from The Mist, or the Graham residence from Hereditary? Also, Wales deserved it."
What?
Okay.
That's right. I don't even know.
I think if it was Event Horizon, I wouldn't last very long, because I have so many neuroses and psychological disturbances that it would tap into them real super
The
quick.
Event Horizon is going to get you pretty quickly, isn't it? Like within a couple hours. The Thing, like if you're on Outpost 31, you could just run away, I suppose,
and freeze to death.
Is there snowcats around?
But the question was survive the longest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then you've got
freeze to death.
The town from The Mist. So you could lock yourself in a room potentially
and wait it out.
Are we being dropped in at the beginning of the story, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think that's only fair. Like you can't get dropped in at the finale or anything. So Event Horizon, you've just boarded the ship, Outpost 31 from the Thing. Like, so the Thing has just been brought, to the camp. The mist, like the freaky shit's just started happening, and then the Graham residence from Hereditary.
Yeah, on Event Horizon, I would have visitations from a literary agent or publisher, like the woman except with black eyes, telling me that you must gender swap your main character, and I'd be, and I'd die.
Not again.
I'd probably go with the Hereditary one, right? I only saw it the one time, but aren't they a bit more deal-withable, the antagonists in that? There's like possession and some devil worship or something, I think.
If it possesses you, like, how do you...
Well, you try to avoid that. I mean, the thing is, it's possessing everybody kind of and killing them in the Thing, and then you got Event Horizon's got a bit of like psychological possession or just insanity, and the Mist is just Lovecraftian creatures are going to tear you to shreds. So I don't know. I think I'd probably go with Hereditary.
All right. I think
Mist.
I'm going to go with Mist because I'm by myself. I don't have some kid dragging me down, right? I'm assuming I'm by myself, and I'll just
just you.
I'll take my chances and hide. Everybody else is on their own.
My guess is like the Thing or the Mist. So like with the Thing, I might just like run out into the snow and take my chances, or like try and get like a snowcat or something to drive off. Or in the Mist, just lock myself in a room that.
I guess
barricade the door.
If we can do stuff like that, like I would probably take the Thing and then just put a gun, take Gary's gun, put it, not you, Gary, the Gary from the film, take his gun and aim it at Russell, Kurt Russell, and just make him fly me out of there, I guess, early on.
Yeah.
I think with the Thing, it would find you, drinker, as an insufficient host because it would, feel your liver cirrhosis damage. And think,
you'd be like, his blood's too toxic. I can't possess him.
I'd accept the Thing. I would accept the Thing at least as long as I get to finish the bottle of whiskey anyway before I die.
That's true. I would never waste it by pouring it into a computer just because I lost at a game of chess.
Cheating bitch.
Yeah. I love Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I think MauLer, you're the one who recommended that to me, and it was funny as fuck. I really like
one of my favorites. The movie is funny as fuck.
Okay, if you guys like that, how many people have seen the Ash versus Evil Dead TV show?
Oh, don't fucking get me started. I love that show, man. I don't.
That show is
they really kept the spirit of those movies going. Like, they did a good job with that one. Bruce Campbell's always on top form.
I like the fact that he hasn't grown any wiser since the last movies.
He's still Ash.
Still an asshole.
Yeah. I lost my hand by helping a kid out of a car that was about to blow up. I celebrated by getting drunk and late every night. But they do evolve him, though. I mean, that fucking last episode where he sacrifices himself to help his daughter get away, I almost got choked up, man. I'm not going to lie.
That was good. I love how everything came back. He went on a date and they got stoned, and the girl wanted to hear some poetry, so he reads out of the book. Then he figures it out at the end of the how did they come back? And then he opens the book and some weed falls out and he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. It's a very Ash thing to do.
So good.
I actually did do a review on it. And when I showed that clip, I had Del Boy from Only Fools and Horses popping up saying, what a 42-carat plonker you really are.
Yeah. What did you think of the new Evil Dead movie? Just
Evil Dead Rise?
The most recent one. It was like from a couple of years ago.
It was fun. The kids were forgettable, but Alyssa Sutherland was really fucking good. She's the only thing that makes it worth watching. And
it's a weird one because like it doesn't have the comedy undertones of like the original movies. It takes itself a bit more seriously, but it does have like the occasional bit of splatter gore, which is just so over the top. It's silly. But overall, I think I quite liked it. Like you said, the kids were kind of forgettable and a bit annoying, but I don't know. I thought it was decent.
Both of the outside ones outside of Ash were okay. They're okay.
Yeah, even the remake is actually okay, even though the characters are kind of generic, but the gut is a lot more gut churning now because when you watch the other Evil Dead movies, they're kind of very comic book like and very stylish. Then you get the remake and it looks more realistic.
Yeah,
but it's a shame that Fede Alvarez didn't get the chance to have full control over the new Alien Romulus movie, because you can really tell Ridley Scott just fucking could not leave it alone.
We need more black goo.
MauLer loves that movie.
Hell yeah.
I was kind of on it though. I did like the lead character. I liked the relationship with her brother, but there's just too many key jangling in it though.
It got ridiculous. The end was.
Well, I just like the exquisite rendering of Ian Holm. Like I couldn't tell the
Yeah.
difference.
My God, it was uncanny. It was like he was there.
They probably did get permission, but I don't know. They could have just had maybe not show his face, shoot him from the back, or have another actor. Well, it's another android, so why not?
Because you find out in Aliens, right, that his particular model of android was twitchy and like prone to failure because they didn't have like behavioral inhibitors or something. Like Bishop explains it. And so you kind of imagine, like, after the events of Alien, or not too long after, they were all decommissioned anyway. And so it would be a new generation of androids. If anything, it's more likely to be more like Bishop, in which case Lance Henriksen's still alive. You could have used him. Would have been fine.
Almost every other choice would have been better. Complete unknown actor, Lance Henriksen, or just another famous person doing a cameo would have been fun, just as an android. But not Ian Holm, CG monstrosity.
The same actor who played Andy. That might have been interesting.
That would have been a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been great.
Because it's essentially just this. It could be the same model physically. It's just like maybe an upgraded operating system.
Could have himself a bit of an existential crisis then as well.
Yeah, that would have been easy then. But no, they had to do this because it's like, man, that's a nice key to jangle in front of you.
They could have had an bizarrely extended sequence where they teach each other how to play the flute. That could have been good.
Yeah, I'll do the fingering.
With key jangling and like references to previous work, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's only a bad thing in bad movies. Like in Picard season 3, that had loads of key jangling, loads of callbacks to the previous work. And they were the bits that I liked the most.
It was fun.
I appreciate it because you could tell that it was done sincerely, and it wasn't just, oh, you remember this, you like this, don't you? It was more done to like honor, maybe a bit stronger word, I don't know what else to call it. Like it was like acknowledging what you liked and giving you more of it, rather than using it cynically because I have nothing else to give you, kind of thing.
Yeah, it should be is like, the cherry on the cake of an actual good story that can stand on its own merits, rather than like a pillar that's used to prop up an absolutely shit story.
It's just like English failing us, basically. It's like, we're just talking about the difference between fan service and fan pandering, when it's really like soulless and crap. Because fan service, like servicing the fans shouldn't be considered a bad thing. It's just we're using it as like a catch-all, I guess.
Dude, when they were on the deck of the Enterprise D, and that was so fucking awesome. That was great.
They treated the moment with a bit of reverence, and that was nice. And it's like, that whole season was frustrating in a lot of ways, because it's like that could have been Picard right from the bat.
Yep.
Right off the bat, and it could have been massively successful. But instead, you waited until season 3 when all was lost, and it almost didn't matter how good or bad this thing was. Fucking Patrick Stewart, man. Like, he torpedoed that show before it even came out.
He did.
He was 100% behind all this crap.
A lot of the actors did, though. They were slagging off the fucking fans who were complaining about it, saying it's all hateful, it's all bigotry, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, fucking William Shatner never did this shit. And he's supposed to be a fucking asshole in real life.
Well, the thing is, it's a really narrow line to toe.
Our asshole.
Yeah.
Because going back to the original ship, it's a stupid plot point. It really is. You could pick holes in that all day. So you're relying on it being a good enough moment to carry the bad plot point. That people are willing to forgive you for coming up with this arbitrary reason to go back to the old ship just because they like this moment so much. And I think that's something that only like a true fan of the series that is making the series would be able to actually pull off. If you're using it cynically, it will show through to your work. And so I think this is why it fails so often. They don't know when to use it properly.
No. Disparu, what are you talking about? Hey, that's right. Don't talk about my discourse.
Yeah, don't fuck with our discourse, Gary.
My discourse. Right.
Sure.
Look at him go.
Look at me go.
I wanted to pose.
It was totally natural that they rebuilt the Enterprise D in a museum, and then they had this
with one guy
cockamamie way to like have the ship not connected to an interconnected set of ships, and then all the 25-year-olds, then anybody over under the age of 30 was had a woke Borg mind virus injected in their head, and it was only the old people in the old ship who could go save them. It totally fucking worked for me. Every bit of it.
I love this idea of in the future where all the technology is insanely advanced. They're talking about like outdated tech that's like, it's not networked, you know?
Yeah.
So it's separate from everything. Fuck off. It's the 24th century. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm fine with it.
All the young people getting a Borg virus was great, though. I freaking loved it.
The mind virus.
Yes.
Yeah. That was interesting. I got a question for everyone
Mhm.
from Daffy Duck. Drinker, you're dead again. Nah, just kidding. But is it Halloween? So everyone on the panel, if you're trapped on the Nostromo, could you survive the alien or not?
Mm.
Now
You
let's
gotta
assume
run to
that
the
we're not
Narcissus
armed
immediately, right?
Well, I mean, let's.
Well, I'm not going to go looking for it. So that's part of it. I'm not going to go looking for some cat. I'm not going to go looking for the alien. I'll be looking for the escape pod, maybe.
That's what I just
Yeah,
said.
but imagine.
Oh, I took yours.
imagine you were put
Do
there.
you have that
and
knowledge, though?
you didn't have the knowledge of the movie, so you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't necessarily know how dangerous the xenomorph is. Just so with our level of resourcefulness, physical capabilities, and intellect, could any of us survive?
Right.
Nope.
So-
fucked.
I think even if we're on there, Ash still lets Kane in. We wouldn't be able to stop that, just like Ripley doesn't. And then Kane would die. And then I probably, if Dallas suggests what he does, I might be like, if we send you alone and you just fucking die, that could be a really bad idea. Maybe we should send 2 into the vents or something. But I don't know if I'd have the balls
Don't go
to go
into
with
the
him.
vents.
Because-
That's a
what-
terrible idea at the best.
Well, so
I
wait.
think-
To be
'cause-
fair, the reason they do is they don't anticipate that it's going to be as powerful as it is at that point. I don't think. But then
No,
again,
but how
I-
fighting
they-
an event is
they-
a stupid thing at the best of times with anything.
I think they assume rather than it being powerful, they assume it's not intelligent, and so it's like it's just a dumb animal. And if we
He's
got a
got,
flamethrower, we
yeah,
can
he's got a
drive it.
flamethrower.
Yeah, it's like we can drive it into like an airlock, and then we'll just blow it into space, easy. They didn't expect it to be as smart as it was.
I
So
don't,
I don't
I
know,
don't think
like,
it's the alien that's going to kill me. I think I'm going to be killed by asphyxiation from Ash sticking a magazine down my throat. So I think I'm going to go out.
The thing is,
I feel like most of us. This is the interesting thing about Alien. I feel like most of us would probably be Ripley. You know what I mean? Like we'd probably make similar decisions to her because she's pretty level-headed, not unintelligent, not like super assertive. So she doesn't just try and take command of the situation outside the chain of command. She goes and defers to like her superior officers until there aren't any left, and then she's on her own. And I feel like we'd probably be in that position. We just wouldn't necessarily do the things that she did at that point. Like maybe we wouldn't survive because we wouldn't be as knowledgeable as her or as resourceful as her. We might just blindly run for it. I don't know.
I'm not sure I'd follow the chain of command. I've been told that I'd end up as a sniper in the military because in the test, I think it was Lady Gravemaster was on about the number of questions, and I was immediately like, why don't they just round it up to the... She's like, yeah, no one can work with you. Like, you'd just be shipped off on your own somewhere.
I probably wouldn't stick around to set the self-destruct. I would probably just leave when the opportunity presented itself. I'd be like, fuck this thing. I'm just going to get on the escape shuttle and get out of here.
shit, I'm out. So
Yeah.
fast, dude.
And I wouldn't go back for Jonesy. If it was a dog, I would. But if it was a cat,
cat,
nah,
do
nah,
that.
fuck
Cat'll
him.
be fine.
Yeah. That's the
Oh,
thing.
no.
He probably would. Like, even if the ship blew up, he'd probably still be all right. Fucking cats are invincible.
Yeah. But no
Tell you
cat,
what.
then you don't have to smell that fucking cat box all day long. Screw that. Cats suck.
The thing is, with
Let
all
me-
these new Alien movies getting fucking made, why can't it just reboot it and make a third one where Newt, Ellen Ripley, and Bishop fucking make out alive and just have a nice little life, even if it's a 20-minute shot? Come on, retcon Alien 3, everything that came after it. Because
I mean, it's going to be tricky to cast that now.
yeah,
Wait, you want to retcon Alien 3 such that you have Bishop and
de-age
Ripley
him,
hanging out?
de-age him, fuck it, just de-age him, yeah. Retcon.
I was just going to say, if you're going to
everything
retcon it, why wouldn't you save Hicks and Newt?
Didn't
Well, I think he
I mean-
did. I think that's what he said
Hicks,
there.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Hicks,
thought he said-
got mixed
he
up
said
there.
Bishop.
Yeah, Hicks,
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Newt, and Bishop, and Ellen Ripley. Yeah.
Didn't they one of the Alien games like retcon it so
Yes.
that like someone else ended up in Hicks's cryotube?
This shit, if it was in a movie, would have been so much fun to discuss, but because of the game, a lot of people missed it. But I'm pretty sure it's a Colonial Marines DLC where the transport ship is picked up post Aliens, and Hicks's particular, cryo tube is opened, and a guy who has the exact same body build as him and the same wound as him is put in, like by accident, and Hicks stays out, so that the guy that they find on Fury 161 is not Hicks. It's just some other guy that looks just like him, and the
Sounds
real
good to me.
Hicks.
Wow.
Real Hicks is alive and well. It's a really funny retcon, but the thing is, if a really good movie had that in it, I think we'd all be like, sure.
I think back in the 90s, like the prospect of having Hicks come back, played by Michael Biehn, I would have accepted it. Be like, you know what, that's fine, because like he was such a fucking cool character, and it would have been great to see. It would have been nice to see like a good continuation of Aliens if that's what we were going to do. I don't think anyone wanted Alien 3 to pan out the way it did.
No.
It's like anything.
It's just like such a waste, though, as well. She went all that trouble to save Newt from the fucking Queen, and she dies anyway. It's like, what the hell, man?
But
Yeah.
audiences as a whole will forgive you almost anything as long as it works afterwards. If it makes it better and they enjoy it, they'll forgive it. The reason why people are picking up on, oh, this sword move doesn't work, this combat move doesn't work, is because the rest of the show is so crap. That's the one thing they're holding on to as some kind of mental stimulus. But as long as you actually do something with the character that they enjoy, they're like, yeah, I know it doesn't make sense, but he made a good movie, so I don't care. And that's kind of what Hollywood thinks. The nitpicking isn't the problem. It's a symptom of the problem of you making a terrible movie in the first place.
Mhm.
No, you make something
think
good,
so.
no one will care about any of the loopholes.
I do like this one as well. A dog would stink the Nostromo up so bad. With two dogs of my own, I can definitely vouch for that. Like, depends what you feed them, but
They
yeah.
got
the fact-
aircon.
Yeah.
They got sci-fi aircon. It'll be
It's
fine.
a closed loop air conditioning system, though, so like you're just going to
They'll
recirculate
have
the farts
filters.
over and over
Yeah,
again.
but the
It's
farts get
awful.
cleansed by sci-fi nanobots. It's great.
I want to like present some questions to you guys actually, because I said we were going to do a few like deathmatch scenarios, right? So I've set up a few, and I've presented it to you in visual format so we can discuss, right? So I wanted to go through some of the monsters from our favorite horror movies, it being Halloween and stuff, and I tried to split them up by category so that they're roughly evenly matched with each other. And so the first one I've got here is serial killers, right? From
Yay.
slasher flicks and stuff. Okay. So the scenario here is we put two characters up against each other, and MauLer, I'm going to take some guidance from you on this one, right? Do we want to just do it one single scenario where it's just like essentially like a room that they're putting together where they've both got their standard loadout and they just have to go at it and fight each other? Or do we want to have like the 3 rounds where it's like 1 in a blank room, 2 in like a forest or something, and 3 where they're like peak power?
Our system seemed to work out. They get a point per round, and if people need a quick explanation, it's just, Final Destination in Super Smash Brothers landscape, which is just you're in space and there's a platform and you have nothing but their base loadout, as in if they spawn not necessarily naked, but just nothing in terms of equipment. They only get their base stats.
Hand-to-hand kind of thing.
Round 2 is, so for example, if it were Deadpool, he wouldn't have his guns or his swords, but he would have his regeneration. Round 2 is he gets his standard loadout, which would be his guns and swords in a forest against his opponent. And then round 3 is the maximum power level for both of them in whatever continuity that may regard.
I think, I think we might simplify it, right? Just because we're kind of like an hour in already and we've got a couple of rounds to do.
This is going to go to the Supreme Court, each of these rounds.
Yeah, well, what I want to try and do is have like a league table of these. So like, if say we get the winner of each round and we'll put them through to the next round sort of thing. And that probably is the easiest way. So you know what I'll do, right? I will say we'll put them in just like a flat space, like the platform idea, where they have their standard loadout. Okay, so if they happen to have a knife, say, as like their general weapon of choice, they get to have that, or chainsaw, or whatever their thing is that they normally have. But they're not necessarily at like their ultimate form or anything. Would that work?
Sure.
For the purposes of discussion. All right, cool. Let's try the first one then. So the first round it's the Battle of the Dolls. It is Mithrigan versus Chucky. So
I don't even know, what does Mithrigan do?
So she's like a kind of surrogate child. That's what she's programmed to be. So she's got the form and appearance of I don't know, maybe a 10-year-old girl. But she's a robot, so she is stronger, faster, and if she decides that she's going to kill you, she's got all kinds of like dangerous functions. Like she could rip the scalp right off your head if she wanted to. She's very fast and she's very difficult to damage.
Is she spawning with any weapons?
No, and neither's Chucky, despite the gun that you see there. So,
in that case, I think Mithrigan has it. She's just Chucky, but bigger and faster.
Yeah,
I think she's probably going to take it because he's quite difficult to destroy, isn't he? Like he's quite resilient.
That's true. Can she just toss him off this theoretical platform, or is it?
Let's like rather than it being a platform, because like if you do that, then it's like anyone who pushes the other one off the edge is just going to win. So it's like let's just say it's like a flat space. Yeah, it's like a room or something. So
well, at that point, it's just she's the heavier and more powerful one, right? So she pick him up by the leg and just smash him on the floor over and over.
Chucky is still he can still bleed like a human as well. I mean, he becomes more human the longer he's in that doll. So yeah, he's much more easier to kill. And when he has a target to kill, he doesn't kill him straight away. He always seems to fuck about doing all this other bullshit. So, yeah,
some of them he kills straight away. You know, the lesser characters that no one gets.
Yeah, but it's never his main character like Andy. He always has to fuck about pretending to be a doll when he could just fucking kill him straight away. You know, he doesn't need to do that.
All right,
takes all the fun out of it.
I think it's unanimous on that one. Then I'm
going to go a different route here. I think if you're using a basic domestic environment, then I would go with Chucky because he's going to be cunning. He's going to get her to look down the sink, and she's going to get her hair in the sink. He's going to push the garbage disposal button. She's going to get stuck down there. He's going to do stuff like that. So I think if you have just a very basic standard domestic environment, I would give it to him.
It depends where you want to put it, because if it's like if you're talking about a house and an environment where you can use this environment to your advantage, maybe I feel like she'd probably still win anyway because she's got a pretty heightened sense of perception, and as MauLer pointed out, she is bigger and stronger and probably faster than him as well.
Well, also, if something like her hair got stuck down the garbage, she'd rip it off. So...
Well, yeah, because like when you see her fighting in the later stages of the movie, she's almost like the Terminator when he's lost his flesh. He's just like the skeleton underneath, but she can still fight perfectly well, even with that. Whereas he's kind of like not flesh and blood underneath, but like he can be injured like a normal person can, I suppose.
He'll distract her with a jack-in-the-box, which suddenly comes out. She looks over there. She trips on some marbles that he's laid out, and then bang, kitchen knife, and then she's gone. So I still give it to Chucky.
Tell you what, should we vote then?
To
settle this.
What was the landscape we agreed on, though?
I think we just agreed on kind of like an empty room, essentially, like a
empty room,
Hell in a Cell kind of situation. Because otherwise, it gets quite complicated.
I vote Mithrigan.
All right, fine.
I go for Mithrigan.
Mithrigan.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we'll give this round to Mithrigan then. In that case, the next one is Mike Myers versus Hannibal Lecter.
What's the point of this one? I love me Anthony Hopkins, but he's fucking losing.
Yeah, this one I was more just I was trying to mix up like ones that you wouldn't normally get together, because the easiest way to do this would have been like Mike Myers versus Jason or something, and then it's like, well, you've just essentially got two invincible guys who can stab each other, and like I don't even know where that would go. It would just like carry on infinitely. So I'm almost thinking, like, does superior intellect play into this at all? Is there a way he could outsmart him?
Not in this scenario. That's the problem. You've just given him an empty room. If you put them in the real world, maybe, if he knew it was after.
Yeah, Lecter would have a chance if you do the round 3 thing of whole world, maximum time, and prep. Yep. Hannibal Lecter can be like Batman with prep time, okay? He can be a monster, a big old scary monster.
Plus, Mike Myers always retcons his fucking death. You burn him to a crisp, he'll suddenly come back in the next sequel, okay, and kill again.
I mean,
his greatest.
Well,
I think sorry.
Well, I think Mike Myers is going to do that thing where he vaguely tilts his head to one side to analyze his opponent and see, and that's going to give Hannibal Lecter an opening, because when Clarice runs away because out of the basement because that guy flung his stuff at her, and then Hannibal Lecter mentions the next day that the guy in the next cell swallowed his own tongue because he'd been listening to Hannibal Lecter psychologically break him down, and he couldn't stand the torment. So even though Mike Myers doesn't have a soul or a spirit, I think Hannibal Lecter could get in his head if he just had that little opportunity.
I'm not sure that he can get in that guy's head, but we should really stop calling him, and this drinker's fault, calling him Mike Myers. Mike Myers is very different from Michael Myers.
I was short on space. Okay, I had to be like, economical with it.
What's funny, Michael Myers? Did you fantasize your sister while killing her? Is that why you do it?
Austin
was
Powers
real.
versus Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
I think
Austin
we're gonna
Powers.
give
Then
this
again,
one
if you
to-
watched Red Dragon at the beginning, you know Hannibal Lecter can take a lot of fucking bullets, man. No, he can, and a good fucking stab with an antler.
Yeah, he can, like, Hannibal Lecter can be dangerous with a weapon of his own. Like, but I think in this scenario, probably Mike Myers is going to take him. I think pretty easily. The next one is it's a battle of the psychos. Norman Bates versus Patrick Bateman.
Interesting.
Yeah, but did Patrick Bateman do the killings, or was it all in his mind?
Wow. Let's assume, for the purposes of this, that he does want to murder people and he is a psychopath.
I'd probably go with
That's a tough
Bateman. So this one's closer. I'll give you that.
This one's tough. I'm gonna go with Norman Bates.
Norman Bates would say his suit looks fucking tacky, and Patrick Bateman would be pissed off about it and probably cry. Who knows?
See,
I do like Patrick Bateman.
There's an interesting dimension to this, right? If I was to break my rules a little bit and say, like, okay, imagine these two guys in a slightly different scenario where, because they're essentially both hiding the fact that they're murderous psychopaths from other people. And so imagine like a scenario where they both are trying to hide their intent from each other, but they have to interact in some fashion. That would be a kind of an interesting one to play with.
Interesting
Actually.
conversation. They'd probably talk the most.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to see a sitcom with these two. I don't.
I think Patrick Bateman would be more likely to underestimate Norman Bates.
Yep.
And think he was kind of beneath him, and that's what would kind of get him. The moment you turned your back on him, that would be it.
I think so.
I think Patrick Bateman's kind of superiority element would play off there.
This one's a bit like 50-50 because it's like whoever gets the first hit. Do they intend? The thing is, are they pitted against each other, or are they just dropped in a world and it's the first one to kill the other?
I would have them.
So I would have to tweak this one a little bit in order to say, like, because like it's not just going to be like, you know, put them into a death pit and they have to just
ding.
roll out. Yeah, like imagine more in this case that they have to some degree outsmart each other or hide their intent from each other, and perhaps, you know, they both want to kill the other person, but they're trying to wait for the right opportunity. They're trying to get them off guard. I think that's probably how both of them would approach it.
Where they just wake up in a room, don't know what's going on, lives next to each other.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Bateman is going to know straight away what he's going to do. He's going to put on some subtle Phil Collins in the background. He's going to sit in his leather settee. He's going to eye up Norman Bates. And then he's going to shiv him, and he's going to bring around two blonde bimbos afterwards and sexually get off his success.
Listen to some Huey Lewis in the news.
Actually, yeah, I've changed my mind. I think Patrick Bateman would probably charm Norman Bates a little bit because he does seem to have a little bit of that as well. And Norman Bates doesn't. He's too socially awkward. Patrick Bateman isn't. He can actually fool people into liking him.
I kind of agree with you on that one. I think maybe Patrick Bateman would charm him, and maybe Norman Bates, as kind of isolated and socially awkward as he is, I think he might be a little bit starstruck and just a little bit like, wow, this guy's fucking cool, and not see him for what he is.
I want to kill him.
He'll probably say,
I like this guy. I want to kill him.
Yeah,
I think
Bateman's harmless. He's as harmless as these birds up here.
Well, that's the issue with Bateman. It's Bates. If he likes the guy and sees the guy, if I want to be him, would that make him so like envious and insecure that he just wants to destroy it? Rather than get to know him, it might actually make him hate him more.
We are going into the abyss here.
I know. It is tricky. I suppose I need to get a decision from you guys. So if we were to vote for this now, in our scenario, I'm probably going to go for Patrick Bateman. What about you, MauLer?
Bateman.
Bastard?
Bateman. Also because he wears very snappy duds.
He does, yeah. And he moisturizes like fuck.
Yeah.
Disparu?
Bates. And I think it's weird that both of these have the same last name.
Gary?
Norman Bates.
Echo?
Patrick Bateman is going to show Norman Bates his business card, which is beautifully crenulated on off-white, high-quality Egyptian paper, and he's not going to be quite satisfied with how Norman Bates reacts to it. So that's going to trigger him, and then it's going to be a bloodbath. So
Nice.
Makes sense.
Nice. Let's
So,
hear Paul
all right.
on this.
It looks like Patrick Bateman takes it then. So, right. I'm just making a note of this here so I can keep track of it. And last up in this category, Leatherface versus Jason Voorhees.
Now, what weapons do they have? So Leatherface has his chainsaw, presumably.
Yeah, so
Am
I'm going.
Unless
I'm going
confused,
Jason
is this not-
Voorhees straight away.
is
Jason
there any
Voorhees.
way Leatherface can even win?
Well, I mean, if you've got a chainsaw, you could just carve him up into tiny little bits.
Yeah, so
Potentially.
Yeah.
Jason will come back.
Jason will come back.
Well, I mean, it's a question of maintenance, I suppose. Like, you could potentially like
The
chop
thing
him up
is as
into
well-
mince and then just keep doing it every so
At
often.
best,
Thing is,
Leatherface
it takes
gets
a while
one...
to carve up the body with a chainsaw.
Yeah, and Jason
will
will
have
not
plenty
be
of time to
stopped
break his
by
neck.
like you get that even to the neck, and you start chopping away. Jason's just going to kill you while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I
exactly.
mean, like, wouldn't a chainsaw go through you like, like a lightsaber almost?
Like a chainsaw.
Pretty quick. Yeah, like a chainsaw. Yeah.
For Jason Voorhees,
'Cause
it'll be like a
I'm
lightsaber
with this
in
one,
the
I'm going on the
latest
idea like superior weaponry versus superior resilience, I suppose.
Chainsaws can jam and get grinding up on the sinew and stuff and bone.
Even without that, with just that spear, if he gets that in you once, there's no
Well,
hospital,
but like
there's no
this is
medical
the
care.
thing. We're trying to envision a chance that Leatherface could even maybe do something, which tells me it's Jason. Jason's won.
Yeah, because
Yeah, he
even
might-
if Leatherface wins, he will get injured, which will kill him in the long run.
Yes.
So he loses.
Do we imagine a scenario where it's ever possible to kill Jason? Like if you I don't know, chopped him up into like little pieces
If
and
you
then
would
dropped him
put-
into a vat of acid or something.
For the
Well,
record, if you would put
trying to
Jason,
make money anyway.
if you would put Jason against Dr. Manhattan, I would have given it to Dr. Manhattan, just
Yeah.
so that, that sort of thing.
Just
But
keep vaporizing him.
well, it's just a matter of tiers. I'm sorry, Leatherface is a tier below Jason.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's fair. Yeah. So yeah, Jason, anyone disagree?
No.
All right. We'll give it to
but
him.
what if you put him up against the T-1000 and you just have both of them reanimating the whole time?
Well, then you're in a tricky spot. I suppose Jason might eventually, like, drop him into a vat of liquid metal or something. Or the T-1000 could do that to him. I don't know. I assume there must be some, like, he's not invincible to the point of, like, nothing can take him down. It's just, like, it must take a tremendous force, I suppose. Like, if he was to stand at ground zero for a nuclear detonation, I'm assuming that would take care of him no matter what. But yeah, I guess in this case, he takes it. So
Yeah, not if there's sequel money to be made.
that is true. So out of that first round, we have got Mithrigan, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Patrick Bateman. They are our winners so far. So I guess I could just pair them up here and say Mithrigan versus Michael Myers. Folks.
I mean, so I haven't seen Mithrigan, but is she made of like a really, really strong metal?
Yeah, she's quite resilient. It takes quite a lot to damage her. Like, you can damage her outer shell quite easily, but like the sort of skeleton underneath is tougher.
Because if
Kind of like a mini Terminator.
can his knife go through her? I guess is the question.
It probably could if he swung it with enough force, it would probably go like through her. Like,
In that case, I'd give it to
plating.
Michael.
She must have some kind of exposed wiring or something, surely, somewhere.
Her
I mean, to be fair, he
advantage
could probably.
her advantage would be agility and the fact that she doesn't get tired.
If Michael gets a hand, like if he grabs her arm or leg, he's just slamming her around the whole room, and she's fucked. I think.
Well,
But to be fair, I need to see Mithrigan before I can say.
Yeah.
the big meta question is: To what extent is Michael Myers like just an evil spiritual force of nature in a kind of meta sense? So that's
I
the
mean,
big theory.
it depends on the movie you watch, because it obviously gets more extreme the further you go. Like, because in the first one, like a couple of shots to the chest will put him down temporarily, at least. So you kind of think, well, okay, like if you can do that sort of damage to him and he's downed, you could fuck him up even more to the point where he's like unable to get up again, potentially.
She's going to have the agility, and she's going to be like, leaping over him and doing cartwheels, but he's eventually just going to grab onto one of her limbs, and then pretty much it's curtains from then on, I think. So I guess I go with him.
Okay.
Plus, he does have the resurrection aspect, so he can damage Megan, and if she kills him, he can come back, damage her some more, rinse and repeat until Megan's dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
A tedious job, a very enduring job, but I think Jason will get the job done.
I think that's what a lot of these fights are going to take a long time.
Yeah.
This is why it's like I was trying to avoid like Mike versus Jason, because like it's gonna be forever.
That'll be the closest one, but
I think that's what we're coming down to. Yeah. So the other one is like Jason Voorhees versus Patrick Bateman. I think we know who's going to win that one.
Patrick may get the first hit or a surprise attack, but then he'll be like, "Holy fuck, what are you?" And then he'll it'll be over.
All right. See, it was a tough one because with the serial killers bit, I was trying to avoid the supernatural where I could, but like so many of these like slasher flicks have got that supernatural element to them, and it
should have
fit
embraced
better
it.
Here.
Throw in Alien, Predator, and Freddy. Fuck it.
Well, I've got a different category for that. Don't worry.
With people like Hannibal, I think he would have fit better in a category of like Saw and that kind of thing, with a lot of intellectual
but then
villains.
I was looking at Jigsaw, and then I thought, no, but if you put him like outside of his traps and everything with all his prep, he's actually weak as fuck, and you can kill him really easily.
Yeah, well, I mean, you controlled the situation they're in, so you could have set them up as like, well, they both know each other exists. Who wins?
I think, then you would start getting into really specific scenarios where it's like, okay, imagine Hannibal Lecter was put into Jigsaw's traps, and he had to think a way out of it.
Well, no, you have to go a step beyond that, because it's like, can he even get him in a trap? Is Hannibal Lecter too intelligent to get caught by Jigsaw?
So then you have to get like super like specific for every scenario, and it's like, well, that's unfair because then I'm creating like whole new things in my head. So
I gotta make you guys aware of it. Like super chat just came in regarding it, so we may not be able to get to it before it's too late. So we were talking about The Thing last night, just going over it in depth. Talking about how amazing the movie is. And do you remember the part where the doctor's going in? Sorry, it's Blair. He's going insane and he's destroying all the communications, and obviously we find out why he's doing that eventually. But they have to stop him, and Kurt Russell gets like a folded up table, and he tries to hit him with it, and the axe goes into it, but that obviously stops him, and they disarm him and calm him down. You remember that part?
I don't remember the bit with the axe.
He's got an axe. He's destroying the whole room, and Kurt Russell has to bring in like a table. He's like lifted up in front of him like a shield, and he hits it.
Blair's going crazy, isn't he? Because he's killed all the dogs as well.
Yeah. So we like summarized that scene. We were talking about how it felt like a real physical battle. You even see the clumsiness of it, and like the guys sort of moving in and trying to stop Blair. Blair really gave it everything in the scene. And then Rags was like, "Yeah, that axe went right through. I mean, Mel Gibson could have died." and there was like this pause of Mel Gibson, and he was like, "Yeah," and we were like, "Do you mean Kurt Russell?"
What the fuck?
And he was like, "Yeah, I got those two mixed up. Sorry." And it's like, "How the fuck did you get those two mixed up?" for once, I was like, "That's some white racism right there. That's horrifying."
Yeah, it's like, are these guys all the same?
Hates his heartthrobs with dashing mullets, so yeah, I can see why he got confused.
There's another super chat that came in here. This is a $50 from Dead Dingo Dan. Says, "Hail Drinker and panel. If you had to fight the Predator, who are you picking as your crack commando team to help you? You can choose 7 different characters from any different action films, but are limited to only one actor's role. So you can't have like Schwarzenegger playing multiple different characters, for example."
We're fighting the Predator, did you say?
I mean, do you need 7? Like,
well, I was about to say, if I'm allowed to pick, if I can pick from like anything, I'm just going to pick the hyper advanced sci-fi characters that have amazing.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take a T-1000, please.
Yeah. A whole bunch of Terminator models. Like, fucking come get me now, Predator.
I think I would take John Matrix.
It's a good idea.
Because we had an argument about this once, didn't we? It's like who would win between Dutch and Matrix, and it's like, well,
Right,
Matrix
yeah.
because he's like a fucking superhuman. So yeah, I'd probably have him and Rambo. I think together they could get the job done against the Predator.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to pick?
I'd take it everyone that defeated a predator.
Am I allowed to pick like Iron Man, or is that breaking the rules?
Let's see what they said.
I think it said sci-fi.
7 different characters from any action film. So action rather than maybe superhero.
What?
Well, they're actually.
Does it overlap? Yes.
Yeah.
Iron Man
Yeah,
seems like a bit of a fucking cheat because then you could be like, well, I'll take Thanos, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See a Predator take on an Infinity Gauntlet, motherfucker.
But why not Captain Marvel? She's the bestest ever.
That is
No,
true,
I'd take the girl from Secret Invasion. She's
Yeah,
everywhere.
Gaia.
Yeah.
Right,
Gaia.
she's all the heroes.
It's not Justin Bateman, Bateman and Jason Voorhees, and put all those guys in there.
Maybe-
That's the thing.
There's not a chance
Hannibal.
to get the results we want. Let's put Ray in there. Let's put Osha and May. We'll do all the other ones? What's her name? Jin
She-Hulk.
Erso.
Ahsoka,
Yeah. We'll get a full team and see if the Predator can take them all out.
all the girl bosses.
Well,
Yeah,
hope
we
the
can-
Predator takes them all out.
We win either way, Disparu. We win either way.
I'm rooting
I
for the
like this
Predator in
plan.
this scenario, man. Well, that round, I guess, comes down to Michael Myers versus Jason Voorhees. The scenario I was trying to avoid so badly.
Well, as a quick aside, who would win out of between M. Thregan and Reagan from The Exorcist if you had those two girls going at each other?
If she vomits on her right, she'll short circuit her, maybe. So
Mathregan is waterproof. I'll have you know, Mauler.
Not if you
well,
cut her open
What about
first.
stomach acid, though?
This is an interesting one because a robot is going to be unfazed by demonic possession.
Yeah.
So you can't take control of her, and you can't make her afraid because she doesn't experience fear. So I think she could be like a good weapon against Reagan.
But she would crack Reagan's neck, but then Reagan would just twist her neck around anyway, and then do that upside down spider walk and start going crazy.
No, but I think she would kill Reagan and like actually kill the human host, and that it's not really a victory so much as like a
Echoes. She would break her neck and then realize like, haha, I can break my neck myself. So it doesn't matter. She breaks it again and again and again and again and again and just spins it like until it just pops off.
So, well, with our final fight between these two guys, like, is there a possibility of a winner?
The way I would rank this, as stupid as it is, but this is where we're at, is that they are very similar in power level and everything, but invincibility level, Jason's higher than Michael.
Yeah.
I've seen him hit by an artillery shell and blown up, and then he reforms. So
he's also got a higher resurrection level. It seems he can come back from crazier fucking shit. But hey,
I think, I'm inclined to agree. I'm almost like I don't want him to win because he's just a fucking derivative of Michael Myers. Ultimately, that's why he was created. But yeah, he's probably going to win. I think he is better at resurrecting himself. So I'm going to give the serial killers round to Jason Voorhees. Well done. Well done, Jason.
Let him go. Well done.
He had a dream. He's just a lad from a small town in America, and he made it. So well done to him.
American dream.
Yeah. You think you're going to drown in a camp lake and then you become a famous superhero serial killer. There you go. I'm waiting for the movie where he does just start killing bad guys exclusively. They'll do it. The remake.
Are there actually 13 of these films? Friday the 13th.
They have funny names if you track them all.
Oh yeah. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm trying to type with these fucking bat gloves on.
Drink and take them off.
No, I can't. It's part of my character.
It's not authentic if I take them off.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Friday the 13th franchise. Oh, okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 I'm counting here. So yeah, wow. They were churning them out. The first one, 1980, 1981, 82, 84, 85, 86, 88, 89, 1993. Then they took a bit of a break until 2002, and then 2003, and then 2009. Wow.
The funny thing is, they probably never actually took a break in terms of getting them off the ground, but they probably encountered shit tons of problems for rights and whatever have you.
Probably. I mean, you do have to ask yourself, like, how many different ways can we do this? It's like, it's just a guy with a knife. It's like, where can we go with this?
Yeah.
I mean, big fans of the franchise would tell you they can go fucking really interesting places, and the worst ones are when they have non-creative kills, right? Like he just stabs a person, and you're like, oh.
I'm sure there's one in when he's in space.
Like
Jason X. Yeah.
The key to it, honestly, is just when you're writing it, and this is a budget thing too, but take, for example, it's like you're in a basketball court. It's like, how's he going to kill the guy? It's like, I don't know. Does he toss him and he fucking gets him through the hoop and pulls him through and shreds him into like pieces? Or does he stab him? And it's like, that is the clear difference between pleasing the fans and pissing them off.
Yeah. I do love the synopsis for this film, though, for Jason X. Jason is cryogenically frozen for 445 years and awakens on a spaceship in the year 2455 after being found by a group of students who he kills one by one.
Where they come up with this stuff?
Yeah. While the previous films show him as a human serial killer or an undead monster, this film depicts him as a superhuman who is transformed by future technology into a cyborg.
Yes.
I remember that.
Perfect.
Doesn't he put some chick's head in some like amniotic fluid or cryogenic fluid into her head? Her head breaks like glass. I think I remember that scene.
I do kind of remember that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I tuned into that late night on like Channel 5 or something in the middle of the night, and like, what on earth is this? Like, what am I even watching?
Our second category that I've got for you, gentlemen, is out of this world, and in this case, so it's aliens, sci-fi, that kind of thing. So in this case, the Xenomorphs versus the Death Angels from A Quiet Place.
This is gonna be a weird one. I kind of vote stalemate because no matter how the Death Angel defeats the alien, it gets covered in acid. But I don't know if the alien can penetrate the skin, because we're supposed to believe that nothing from humanity was able to break.
They're weirdly resilient, aren't they, to like gunfire and stuff.
But I feel, well, I guess maybe we should assume the acid wouldn't even get through. I don't know.
It's a tricky one because you don't quite know how they're going to react to each other's capabilities. I feel like in terms of combat,
until it's established as law, I'm going to say the Xenomorphs, because they probably will make a lot of noise and get attacked, but the acid blood will probably finish them off unless some arsehole writes it into the next film that the Death Angels can take acid.
That's actually the most important question. Does the acid work on the Death Angels? Drinker, it's up to you to tell us that.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
You're retconning it.
They call it molecular acid, right? Which I think will eat through pretty much anything. So I'm going to say, fuck you, Death Angel. I think this acid is going to eat through your flesh, no matter how tough you are, because nothing's going to resist that realistically. And so
it should be mentioned too that the Death Angels don't simply detect anyone and anything. If you are quiet enough to just be quiet, which aliens are pretty quiet when they're hunting,
they would 100% sneak up on them. Yeah,
I think the aliens are pretty smart.
The aliens' mouth and tail, I'm not sure it's breaching the Death Angels, so to speak, skin. That's a harder one to answer. But
Xenomorphs don't mind dying if it takes out the objective.
Well, that's why I said stalemate.
Yes, but they would dive on if they knew their blood killed the thing, they would dive on the thing, die, and get the acid.
But it's just one-on-one, right?
Yeah, because we can't really have a swarm of aliens because that would be a bit unfair. But they can actually spit acid as well, which we don't often see. But like you see it in Alien Resurrection, I think. I'm not going to take that as canon. They can spit acid.
I think you're right. Yeah, in that one, it just depends. I don't know how many people consider Resurrection canon.
Like it has to
we have to for this.
We have to for that. All right. Well,
for the sake of aliens everywhere.
Well, there's no reason that an alien with two mouths couldn't bite the inside of its own mouth to make acid and spit it. So,
Well, I mean, if we're counting all canon, in AVP, we see an alien actually weaponize its acid. Like
Mhm.
it gets its tail chopped off and it actually like throws it at people, sort of thing, like a predator.
Well, they do it in Resurrection as well, actually, when they actually sacrifice one of the aliens, like they just kill it and the acid eats
That's
through
true.
the
They do it in
floor
that as well,
they're
yeah.
in. So I think, yeah, you could potentially have a xenomorph just bite its own arm or something and like throw the acid at the Death Angel. So
badass.
If
a
the
tough
alien
one.
does it
Tough
right,
one.
it can crawl above the Death Angel without it knowing, bite its hand off, and just dribble the acid onto its head, and it would kill it.
So the thing is, right, are we just like concocting the kind of like Leatherface versus
Well, so here's the reverse
like
argument.
Jason
If-
argument, where it's like
if the
Because the
Death
xenomorph would still
Angel-
bleed to death in either scenario.
I think
Cut
if
his
it,
own hand
if it,
off
if
or
it
anything
bit
else.
like a finger off, it would probably survive that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's worth mentioning, like, if the Death Angel hears it or struggles enough to take a strike at it, those things hit fucking hard. Like, it probably would kill the alien if it knew where it was. But remember, they're blind. They have to go by hearing.
Well, in
This
which
is kind of
case
why
it
I
comes
picked
down
it, 'cause
to,
it's-
does the xenomorph know it needs to be stealthy?
That's a good question, actually, because it will make the difference. It's usually stealthy anyway, right?
Tends to
I
be.
mean,
Tends
they
to
can
be.
move. They can
It's
move
like a predator
quickly
kind
and
of
quietly, and they are agile. I don't know if they're quiet enough to like not be detected by a Death Angel.
Well, I think they
I've-
would be until they decide to attack, and that's when it might get fucked. And it wouldn't
You know what?
necessarily.
I think, like, say you had a large number of xenomorphs versus Death Angels. I think the xenomorphs would learn quickly what the weaknesses of their enemy are, but I feel like they would take quite heavy casualties before they did. So if it's 1-on-1, they might not learn quickly enough.
It's close. We might have to go for a vote, Drinker.
All right. Reluctantly, because I do like xenomorphs more, I think I'm going to go for the Death Angel on this one.
I can be convinced out of this, but I'm gonna believe in the Xeno's intelligence, and I think it might be able to outplay the Death Angel eventually. So I'm gonna go with the alien.
All right. Bastard?
I've got to go with the xenomorphs. I've got a lot more advantages in a way, and mostly because I'm more familiar with them as well. I've only really watched Quiet Place once.
Okay. Disparu.
I'm going with Xenomorph, but simply because if both of them are ignorant, I don't think the Death Angel could keep the acid off it. So it would still attack the Xenomorph, but it wouldn't know it needed to be scared of the acid either way. And so I think it would still die. Which I think kind of makes the Xenomorph win, because it...
Well, it just depends on who dies first.
Well, true. Yeah, but like the Death Angel would, like, if it bit it or anything, it'd get it on his face. So I'm still going Xenomorph.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's imperative.
Gary?
I agree. Xenomorph, they can see. I think they're a little smarter. So I agree with MauLer.
I'm going to kill you, Death Angels, and I'm going to eat you with my second mouth, and it's going to be yummy.
Yummy.
Well, it seems like pretty much xenomorph all the way. Echo?
My mind has gotten trapped in a complex web of hundreds of variables on this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that the fight would be the most goriest, bloodiest, viscerally horrible thing to watch of slime and goo and various fluids. So that would be interesting. But I guess the xenomorph, just because it's got the cunning, I guess.
Yeah, because one of those fluids can kill you.
Okay.
That sounds so dirty when you say fluids.
If I can present the silly one, which is the alien gets above it, bites a finger off, drips the acid on top of its brain,
But it
goes
wouldn't know
straight
that
through.
it needed to do that. That's your issue.
But well, like I said, if it watched for long enough, it might be able to pick this stuff up. Aliens are real smart. Like we see it throughout.
They
the films.
are, but I think their strength lies in like generally their ability to swarm the enemy.
I think
Like,
that's the case when there's lots of them. When there's one of them, it'll stay back and it'll watch. And then
Maybe.
How
it'll
the
kill.
Death Angels adapts to their surroundings? It's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen A Quiet Place, and I have not seen the sequels yet.
I think the predator xenomorph has too much predatorial self-respect to just gnaw off the tip of its finger and just let it drip onto the top of the Death Angel.
Yeah, I think the Xenomorph would stealth attack the Death Angel, which would then turn around and attack the Xenomorph, then get its blood on it and die.
If we want to, yeah, but that's the thing. If we want to go with what the most likely attack formation from an alien would be versus the options it has, and what we consider canon, like I said, it has weaponized hurting itself or others before to hurt opponents. So it just depends on whether or not you believe the alien would either think to do that or do that in general.
well, I'm like the general consensus seems to be the xenomorph, so I'm going to give it to the xenomorph on this round. Round 2 is, and this is a battle of like the shape-shifting fucking creature that can take over your body and destroy you from the inside. It's Calvin from the movie Life versus the Thing.
It's the Thing.
I have no idea what Calvin is.
I've not seen the Life. I'm going with the Thing already. I'm going with the Thing already because even if
I
you
know this
kill
film.
one part of it,
Yeah.
the other part is still sad.
It might seem like a foregone conclusion, but Calvin can do similar things to the Thing, where it's like even a small amount of it will infect you and gradually, destroy you from the inside, and then turn into this thing that you see in the picture there. So it has similar capabilities to the Thing, but the Thing has the ability to impersonate people in a way that Calvin can't.
I think the Thing's like molecular sort of copy paste and take over is stronger than Calvin.
He could copy
I remember
he could copy Calvin as well. He could be
Calvin's slower than the
molecular
Thing
naked.
as well.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. Yeah. So are we kind of in agreement that
Yes,
the Thing wins this one?
Unfortunately, this one there's not a huge amount to discuss. They would probably clash with each other, and the Thing would win. It would just the cells. It would replicate Calvin, and Calvin would be fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Calvin relies on the stupidity of particularly stupid humans.
Yeah, I didn't like Life. I thought it was shit.
I've not seen it, and I really don't want to see it, to be honest. I've heard it's really bad. So yeah, and plus the Thing is one of my favorite films, so I'm kind of
amazing.
Yeah, well, there's definitely that. The next one is an engineer from Prometheus versus the Predator.
Oh, fucking Predator, straight up.
Now let's take the shoulder cannon out of this equation. So if they were in a brawl with each other, or just put them in a room, they have to fight each other.
Are you stripping all the weapons then? Because the Predator still has the spear, the smart disc. Like, are we taking all his range stuff off?
So let's even it out a little bit and say like they are kind of just base loadout, which is just themselves essentially.
Does the Predator get its wrist blades?
Yeah,
Can the Predator be invisible? That's the big question.
That is. Yeah, I'm going to say they can.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the Predator's going to win if you give them those.
Yeah,
I would say, this
way more even if there's no weapons.
It's a slightly tricky one because the engineer is definitely way bigger and stronger than the Predator.
The fact that, like it is. I'm pretty sure the thing is, there's multiple different sizes for Predators. Depends on which one you're picking, but you're clearly choosing the one from Predator, right? So
yeah, not the one from.
I guess I'm going for the standard one.
Traps all the time.
Which I believe, if we took the literal sizes from the films, the engineer is taller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's much bigger as well, like more heavily built.
Mm-hmm. Well, personally, if you give him the cloak and the claws, I'm going with the Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the engineer went out like
I'm going to go with the Predator.
Yeah. Plus, I don't think we ever got to know the engineer in the. We never really got to know most about the engineer anyway, and what if he can adapt or to the situation if it calls for it. But the Predator can. We know the Predator can adapt, and it can find another way around to take out its enemies. So the Predator.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
I'm going to give this
the engineer went out like a bitch against that octopus creature thing at the end, and that was his only big fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he got.
Why don't you see what you could do against a giant living vagina?
Yeah, that is H.R. Geiger at his most fetishist kind of thing. Because I did hear a rumor that he was all like phallic shit, when he made the first Alien movies, because everything had to look like a penis to him. But I think that I could be wrong.
I never want to see that man's search history.
No.
The last round is for arachnids from Starship Troopers versus the mimics from Day After Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow.
Don't mean to keep doing this, but it's the mimics. It's not even close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if they can just relive the same day, you don't stand a chance.
It's not.
No,
honestly,
I'm gonna take their time traveling abilities.
Even if you,
because that's unfair.
Remove that power, the mimics are so fat. Do you remember that scene where there's one that's like spinning around like a tornado and it just fucking stabs all the different humans? Like the arachnids aren't gonna be able to beat that.
I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, I do wonder, like, if you
like, the arachnids are literally like swarm creatures. So away
Well,
from
this
their
is
swarm.
say you had a
They are-
swarm of each. So you had a bunch of mimics and a bunch of arachnids. Would that
Well, I
change
don't
the
know, 'cause
equation? Because arachnids can swarm
seem
you.
to focus on overwhelming people, right? So almost giving them the same number seems unfair, just because they're kind of like bigger ants. in a
Well, but
way.
at that
Like,
point, Drink is just gonna have to try and level the numbers until it becomes a close.
Yeah,
match,
so I
Well,
don't,
if
I
it's
don't, yeah, I
1v1,
don't want to
then,
like tip the scales too much. It'd be unfair.
1v1 the arachnid loses. Group
Yeah.
v group, the arachnids lose. It's like you'd have to nerf the mimics.
That seems fair.
I think you've already nerfed the mimics with taking away their
Yeah.
time travel shit.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted it to do like
Yeah,
to do like just a physical contest rather than like time traveling abilities and stuff because that's just crazy unfair.
Because even if you
and
game time travel to mimics, arachnids would be too stupid to take
Mimics-
advantage of it. Although time
they can
travel
only-
with the
mimics
brain
can-
bug,
Yeah.
if the brain bug got the time travel
you
power,
mean
that would be interesting.
mimics can only do the time travel thing because of like the omegas, like, and there's only like a couple of them. Versus like the foot soldiers are just like the basic fighters. So I guess that's what I was going for here, like the basic mimic that's just there to like take on humans hand to hand.
Well, but again, you are pitting a group versus a group, right? Or swarm versus a swarm, or you.
I think in this
1-on-1.
case we would just keep it simple and keep it as individuals.
It's a
So, like,
1v1, the arachnid's gone. Yeah.
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 I think
Yep.
I think that's fair, probably fair. Like, yeah. Okay. So if I tally up those results, so that leaves us with. Let's try and. Yeah, I don't want to do Alien versus Predator because that's a bit unfair. So if we were to do, if we were to do a Predator with the cloak and his best loadout versus a mimic.
Is best loadout?
Yeah, so I want to give him. I want to give him a
Hmm.
chance here. Let's give him his shoulder cannon at least.
Or we might be in a situation where if he's cloaked and he gets the shot off and just gets the mimic, he wins every time. But if ever the mimic spots him, it feels like if the mimic gets to him before he can kill the mimic with the plasma caster, he's dead.
Because
I
the
feel like
mimics have a
Predator would
sense.
always get the first shot.
He should be able to. He's got
Well-
the scanner, right? He'll be able to pick up the mimic pretty fast.
It's the same rules with the mimic as far as time travel is concerned.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because that's that would just defeat everything every
Mm.
time.
Oh, and the predator can always self nuke, so it's going to be a stalemate at best for the mimic.
Yeah.
It has to be the predator in this one. I think.
Yeah, I
just
think it's the predator.
got the element
Okay.
at the beginning.
All right.
Yeah, but would he
And
be able
then-
to get an entire army of mimics, though? How big is the army anyway?
Well, then you get into questions of like, well, how do you balance it? Like, okay, like, 20 mimics versus one predator or something. Like, yeah, that becomes unfair.
Probably
I
could be
suppose.
20. I mean, that was a pretty big fucking blast at the end of Predator. So, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you probably could.
If he has to nuke himself though to like defeat them, then no one wins. So that's just becomes
That's what
like
stalemate means.
well, exactly, yeah, but then that doesn't become like a fair fight, I suppose, because then it's just like
No, the point is though that the
zero sum.
best the mimic can do is cause a stalemate. So and that's just one scenario. So
Yeah.
like of all variables, the predator's got it.
I think so. The other one then would put the xenomorph versus the thing, which is kind of a weird matchup. Actually, I don't even know how they would interact with each other.
It's the thing.
Would, because the thing has to get inside your blood. Would it die getting inside these xenomorphs?
Yeah.
That's kind of an
Well, but,
interesting one, actually.
We don't know how the thing deals with acid. We know it deals with fire. Obviously, that's like its bane, but it's hard to say.
Well, I think if fire can destroy it, then I would imagine that acid, which can melt like metal bulkheads and stuff, would probably destroy it too. It would just
I'm no
dissolve
scientist,
it.
but fire and acid work very differently, and we're dealing with a biological creature that like replicates cells.
Yeah.
So like I don't
So if
know
it
how
can
it deals with
replicate
acid.
A
Yeah.
xenomorph, that would be
Doesn't-
for the xenomorph.
I don't know. I think I might go with the xenomorph on this one. I think the thing would try to assimilate it and fail. I think it would get destroyed in the process, and I think potentially
we don't
the
know that.
xenomorph.
I guess that's literally up to you, is whether or not.
I can't make a hard ruling on this, but if I had to just go by gut instinct, I'm like, fucking acid feels like it would dissolve the thing. It would destroy it. In the same way that if you took a sample of the Thing's blood, like they did in the movie. They applied like a hot piece of metal to it. I think maybe if you dropped it into a vat of battery acid, it would probably have the same effect. Like,
it's worth considering. The Thing has to replicate our stomach acid, and it does.
Yeah.
but that's not the same as that. Stomach acid is not the same as acid that will eat
But
through
we're
metal.
looking for a precedent here. So
Yeah, which
that's
is
pretty
more than
close.
you've provided, Mr. Firehead.
Who's to say it can replicate stomach acid? The Thing might try to eat food and it would just vomit it up because it's like, I don't have a stomach.
Yeah, but
The
our
Thing
stomach
has-
acid would stomach acid is designed to digest flesh. So if it didn't have our cells within the stomach, it would just eat through itself. So it implies that the Thing either can handle it or morphs part of the human, like the body it's taking over, into itself.
The
So
Thing
it might
preserves
take on
itself,
some kind of
right?
ability within the alien.
My instincts tell me, as Batman, that I think the Thing would fail against the Xenomorph, and I think it as well. Its ability to mimic the host, right? So that it can, because that's really how it spreads. It like pretends to be a person. You don't suspect it, then it catches you unawares, and then it gets you. I don't know if
as well, doesn't it? Like its cellular activity, a single cell is like a living individual organism.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work against xenomorphs either. I don't know if they have a sense of perception that extends just beyond the visual. Like we look at a person, if they look like the person we recognize, then we're fine with it. They might have a sense of smell, a sense of like some other sense that we don't know about.
Well, we also don't know if the Thing replicates that.
I think the Thing is
I don't
thousands of
think
years
it's
old.
going to be enough to overcome xenomorph biology. I think it's too fucking weird and hostile.
I think
to
that's
it.
like the point of it, though. It's the ultimate biological replicator. It's the horror of it. Like, there's nothing it can't do that to.
It
Though I
doesn't
suppose
abide
you
by
could.
our periodic table is kind of irrelevant to it. This is the perfect thing that it's just going to find anything that lives, any kind of organism, it's going to be able to replicate. And the alien is a life form.
A life form. Yep.
And isn't the
I
alien
agree with
strength
that.
really that it can go into any other life form and come out with like a hybrid version of that?
Yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
so the xenomorph itself wouldn't be able to do that. But if you went back to the eggs,
Well,
then
what's
maybe.
horrifying is if a face hugger jumped onto a Thing person and then the Thing just envelops the face hugger while it's on his face. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's
Checkmate,
a movie
motherfucker.
idea. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great idea.
Well, let's take a vote then, shall we? I vote for the xenomorph in this case.
The Thing.
Bastard.
I'll go for the xenomorphs until some scientist who knows this more than I do changes my mind.
All right. Echo.
Thing.
All right, it's 2-2. Gary.
The Thing.
Yeah.
Disparu.
I'm going for the Thing just because I think it would take on the cells of the original Thing, which is immune to acid.
All right, the Thing takes it. So, I got a feeling I know where this is going to go. So it's down to the Thing versus the Predator.
Oh, the Thing.
So that's really interesting because if the Predator can see it at a distance and it could just melt the fuck out of it with a plasma caster, but
yes,
there are scenarios where the
One
Thing
piece
might
of the
be able
Thing
to
can replicate a Predator. I'm going with the
A
Thing.
hand comes off and crawls all the way to the Predator, you know. I
The
don't know.
Thing has numerous ways to survive more than the Predator could. It's I gotta go with the Thing here.
And the Predator would blast it and assume it was dead.
Would
like,
Yeah,
there's
and
no
then
reason
he
to.
would
Then
try and
one little
rip the
piece
skull
would
out
come,
as a souvenir, and then when he's trying to rip the skull out as a souvenir, it would open up and clamp onto him.
I
And
think
that would-
that's a really good point.
Well,
Great point.
the Predator is highly intelligent and it's pretty well versed in alien life forms in terms of how to hunt them and stuff. Might it have some experience of similar alien organisms to the Thing, and so it might know to be aware of something like this?
It would
if we're
have like a
going-
Thing-proof suit on.
If we're going from what we learned in the first Predator, it might show up different on a scan. The Thing human, let's just assume it is a human shape. But I don't know that the Predator would know what it's dealing with, other than I'm going to fucking kill this thing.
Until
I'm
it's
gonna shoot
too
it.
late.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Then the Thing usually hides. It only really comes out and attacks when it's forced to.
And I mean, I could actually buy, unfortunately for the Predator, that it's like this thing doesn't seem to have many weapons. I'm going to fist fight it, and it punches it, and then it just goes all over its fist, and the Predator's like, you know, and it's too late.
That makes sense. it seems like we're edging towards the Thing then as the winner of this round.
The
All right.
Predator could win, but I'm going to give it more so to the Thing, I think.
Predator would go for it. If they knew about the Thing, that would be like probably the one thing they want on their, on their man.
They'd have to put it in a little sci-fi box to keep it, just make sure it doesn't get out.
All right. Well, I will give it to the Thing then. We could end up with some weird scenario where Jason Voorhees has to take on the Thing, but okay.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Is that the next one?
Well, I'll see how far it goes. Basically, like whether the winner of each round then has to fight for the ultimate prize.
Well, yeah, we've got two winners: the Thing versus Jason, right?
Yeah, so far we've got another category though. We have supernatural. So
we're gonna have like a 3 showdown at the same time.
Well,
yeah,
there's ultimately 4 categories because I feel like they don't. They don't pair up too well with each other. So I wanted to give each person a chance, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can.
Well, because if Godzilla turns up at any of this point, it's gonna be.
No, I don't have gigantic like kaiju or anything like
Godzilla
that.
versus the Thing.
Yeah, just like.
I just like the idea that a microscopic part of the Thing gets on a toenail of Godzilla. It's like, well, it's over. You're fucked.
I like this. What was this one that came in? The Thing versus the open bar. Who takes it? Break it down.
Nobody trusts each other anymore.
Yeah.
I'm probably immune to it because it wouldn't get past my blood alcohol level, but everyone else could be fucked.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
We're just like trying to feed it to you. Like, go on, you want it.
We drink as our shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have,
and it's like,
you have to inject him first.
I don't want him. I don't want him.
Imagine if the fucking Predators actually had to do the blood test to find out it was the Thing. They're all tied up on their little Predator couches, saying, get me out of here, get me out of here.
All right.
Well, I mean, technically, MauLer is a Lovecraftian.
Exactly. Yes, I don't know.
Dude,
how
I am
you
not going to
interact
risk
with
it with the Thing. Are you kidding me? That guy scares me.
Has anyone
Like
actually
this.
read the original book, though? Who
What are the
knows that?
nightmares?
Fucking hell, it's good.
No,
Drinking versus Prohibition. Yes, that's a good. Now that is a good versus movie. I will pay for that.
I actually single-handedly destroyed Prohibition by myself.
You went back in time and was like, none of this.
Yeah.
Basically, Penguin series, but with alcohol.
Yeah, it's basically going to be the Untouchables, but with drinker.
Everyone's waiting for him to set up the whole operation, but he just keeps drinking. He's just drinking.
It's like, well, I've
I
got
only
my
need enough
drink,
for
so
me.
that's all that matters, really. Our
Hey,
next,
boss, where to go now? Fuck off! You're not my fucking father.
it's like you've drank our entire shipment again. Stop. This category, right? I'm going to do here is the supernatural, right? So this is where we get a bit more interesting because I tried to match them up to some extent, so they're fairly balanced with each other, but we'll see. Anyway, so in this one, we've got Freddy Krueger versus the Candyman.
Freddy's tough, man. And when we did our breakdown, Freddy was scoring so fucking high. He is so hard to beat.
Yeah. The Candyman, it's debatable how destroyable he is, though.
Yeah.
Because he can, he essentially, once you've summoned him, he appears and he's just going to gut you. So, I don't know. I feel like Freddy he has essentially unlimited power when he's, like, getting you in your dreams.
Unfortunately, as a Freddy expert as a result of the last talk we did on EFAB, he just never dies. There's never actually a time in the entire canon where Freddy is defeated. He gets quote unquote defeated every movie, but at the end he always is still back. So it's just like I don't know how you beat him. He's a dream demon. You're fucked, basically.
The Candyman doesn't have his own dreamscape, I don't imagine. So if it's just in real life, surely the Candyman?
Is it a stalemate then? Or?
Well, I mean, we have to assume, like, it's not like the Candyman has to fall asleep and have a dream so that Freddy can appear. We have to kind of put them in a scenario where they both physically inhabit the same space so that they can go at each other. And
so you got to put Candyman to sleep.
Plus, doesn't Freddy?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, so imagine, I don't know, like it's almost like they're combined supernatural powers against each other. So who comes out stronger, I suppose.
Plus, doesn't Freddy Krueger actually kind of create the dreams himself as well? He brings up the whole world, especially in the boiler room. So he could probably form it inside the Candyman's mind.
it's almost impossible to say how strong Freddy is because
Yeah.
it's kind of infinite, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know as much about. I haven't seen Candyman in a long fucking time. But say Freddy.
I think Freddy might take this one.
Freddy's going to dominate this bracket.
Yeah.
The more
Yeah.
you made a mistake.
Well,
Had
we'll
loads of logic.
see. We've got a few more. We'll see where this goes. So,
We'll see.
should we give this round to Freddy then?
Yeah.
I think
Probably.
it seems- Yeah. All right. Next one is Pinhead versus Samara from The Ring.
Well, we've got to get it out of the way as Samara found the lamentation box. Or am I forgetting the name of it? Box of
Yeah, Lamentation configuration.
yeah. So as she opened and played with that, and has he seen the video?
Yes. So
Okay,
essentially,
okay.
they
Does
so
Pinhead
imagine
wa-
it like
does
I
Pinhead
guess
watch
like
videos, though?
they've both been unleashed upon each other.
So she's crawling
right,
out
well-
of a TV.
To be fair, this one's real fucking tough because Pinhead's like super overpowered, but technically speaking, she's like a tech ghost. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how their rules reflect each other necessarily. This is
Because once she gets out, she's gonna she essentially scares people to death, doesn't she? So
Is
I
this
don't
the
know,
remake Samara
would she
or the
have
original
anything to even
Japanese
play
one?
on here? But then, can he really torment her? Because I don't even know if she can experience pain.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I can't even picture the chains doing any. Like, it's so weird. It's like it's having like two different, completely different worlds clashing. I have no idea how their rules would combine.
That's why I
or
did
thread.
this.
It's really hard to speculate.
Yeah.
It's like a matter of immunity, which would bring you back in, Drinker. I'm just like, I'm at the point of being like, so are they immune to each other or not? And if not, it's probably Pinhead because he has the ranged attacks and she doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, just break it down to a fist fight.
Yeah.
I can imagine Pinhead getting fucking bored of flaying people alive just to sit down and watch a video, and it turns out to be fucking that one.
He'd be bored by the Ring video. He'd be like, eh.
Yeah. I've seen better. Yeah.
I take a break
Yeah.
from seeing people,
It's
and
like-
this is what I get.
We live stream from hell regularly, okay, and it looks great.
Which version of Samara is this? Is it the Japanese version or the remake where she comes out
So-
from the TV and can actually get closer the more further you try to run from her?
So I went for the remake version. That's where I put
That's what I
Yeah,
mean
so,
by,
yeah, so she's going to be a bit more powerful there.
That's what I mean by tech ghost. She can kind of teleport, and once she gets close enough to you, you're just auto dead. And it's like, does that work on Pinhead? It's like,
Yeah, this basically relies on your opponent having a soul, but neither of these opponents have souls, so it's a tricky.
So I
one.
think it might come down to then just their power or their ability to inflict damage on each other. In which case, I think maybe Pinhead might win this one.
I think
Yeah.
if we're doing a vote, I'd go with Pinhead.
I'd go Pinhead.
I think
Yeah, I'll
so.
go with Pinhead.
Yeah, I
He's
think
old-fashioned supernatural, isn't he? He's old-fashioned supernatural, ancient supernatural.
Well, I mean, he himself is from the 1920s, I think. Like, that was where the original human came from. But, like, the force that's behind it is obviously, way more ancient than that.
Yeah.
The next one is Pennywise versus the Terrifier.
I haven't seen the Terrifiers, but isn't Pennywise the easy victor here? Because Pennywise is
Yes.
like hyper supernatural.
I agree.
What's Terrifier's powers or Art the Clown's
Well,
powers?
Pennywise is like an ancient god, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but his power derives from the relative ratios of fear of his perspective.
Yeah.
Whereas Terrifier is not going to have any fear. Where he's just a kind of blunt instrument of terror and destruction. Whereas Pennywise,
Just say you're not scared of Pennywise, you defeat him. Terrifier, no, he'll fuck you up. I go Terrifier straight away.
I
So-
think, this is a tough one, actually, because, I don't think Art has any real fear of anything. And so he's
No.
going to be a tough one for Pennywise to get into.
Yeah, but I don't think he'd be able to defeat Pennywise anyway.
Well, if you don't have any fear of Pennywise, he doesn't really pose a threat to you, and you can
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to kill him or
pummel
defeat
him
him.
physically.
Like he is basically, isn't he basically like a really ancient god as such?
Yeah, he's supernatural.
Like his real form is like a gigantic spider, and he's like an interdimensional entity.
Well, yeah,
but
it's worth mentioning-
he does physically exist.
like as much as he is an ancient god or whatever the fuck, Pennywise is defeated by several children. That is
Yeah.
canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is
And
it like is it defeated as such, or is it like, well, he just can't hurt you? It's like, well, you could end up in a stalemate. A stalemate doesn't just have to be death. It could be like, well, we can't really do anything to each other.
I don't know enough about Terra or Art. I don't know enough about him. I just see
But
those
Pennywise,
movies, I
in
guess.
order to defeat him, it does require, I think, to an extent, some form of teamwork, some sort of bonding together as a group to face your fears. Whereas
you do it solo?
Terrifiers, I don't know.
It's a little bit ambiguous because, like, if you're going by the books, then yeah, you have to like perform some ancient ritual in order to actually defeat him. The movies don't really talk about that, and so it's more just like simplistic. Like you have to overcome your fears and your insecurities, and then he doesn't really have any power over you, and you can essentially just beat the shit out of him as if he was like a small child. So it's tricky depending on which way you want to go with it.
Because Pennywise is his psychological traumatizing stuff. That's going to be like entertainment to Terrifier. That's the medium in which he exists. So Pennywise uses that fear in order to immobilize and subdue his victims. That's his skill. Whereas Terrifier, that's not going to work in him. Terrifier is going to see him perhaps as some kind of vague competition, polish him off real quick, and then go back to his bad ways. So I have to go with Terrifier.
Anyone debate that?
I'd go for Terrifier still.
All right. I think we might give this round to Terrifier then.
Sure. I almost abstain. I need to go see the Terrifier.
Yeah,
movies, I guess.
yeah, same here.
I don't know.
I mean, Pennywise is interdimensional, semi-godlike alien creature.
I just don't know how you defeat Pennywise. Like that's my kind of.
So you're not
part two, they
scared,
defeat him,
that's
right?
it.
No, but just because he can't hurt you doesn't mean that you've defeated him. Like you still exist. It's like, oh well, you're not going to harm Pennywise.
Well,
wait, correct me if I'm wrong.
They do like properly destroy him
in the second part,
books.
right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, in the movies and the books, so there are ways to destroy him. Like it requires more in the books. It's a more complex like ritual and stuff they have to go through. And in the movies, again, they overcome their weaknesses and their fears of him, and ultimately just that allows them to destroy him physically, and then he's completely taken out. So it can be done. He's not outside the rules of like our universe.
In that 1990s miniseries one, they slingshot him to death with what? Like, is it the collected sense of camaraderie?
No, that's the first part. So they don't kill him with that. They damage him.
Yeah, they hurt him. They don't kill him.
What were they damaging him with?
It's like they've got that childish ability to overcome some of their fears of him, but and that's enough to drive him back, but they don't really destroy him, and then he comes back like 30 years later. They have to fight him again.
Maybe I switch, because then if it's hope, love, and tenderness that can destroy him and overcome his power of instilling fear, then maybe that wouldn't work for the Terrifier. Or is the Terrifier just going to go down to the sewers and just crush him to death and then go back up?
Probably would, just for laughs. Terrifier seems like the kind of guy who gets a kick out of it.
Should we leave it a chat, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm going to go with Terrifier on this one.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'll put it down as that. Gary, I know you, sir, Captain America yourself, Captain Black America man, you have to leave us, and I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I gotta leave it. The time didn't change here, so I have to pass out kids to candy. That's what I gotta do.
All right, P. Diddy, calm down.
Yeah. Hey, I want to know what's gonna the final round is gonna be Jeffrey Epstein versus Diddy. I want to know what you guys think.
The ultimate predator.
I think that's already been decided.
The thing kills them both, and we're just like, well, nature got sorted out, I guess.
It's the one time when humanity just applauds the thing. Like, yeah, well done. Thank you.
You did it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta say early. This was fun.
No, honestly, man, it's been awesome having you. Thank you.
You'd have
Take
a twist
it
at
easy,
the end,
everybody.
Your voice saying now then. That'd be the real one.
Yeah, no.
Bye, chat. Bye, guys. Have fun.
Thank you, Gary.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to put it to the next one. That is, so I had to be slightly vague with this one because there's so many iterations of this right? But I put werewolves as like a kind of concept within horror versus the Deadites from Evil Dead.
Epic
already
Mike
going
would get
with
incredibly
Evil Dead.
annoyed with me if I didn't say werewolves.
I mean, it'd probably be werewolves, right? Because they're kind of how many are we talking here?
In basically every piece of fiction, werewolves dominate any kind of vampire or undead.
I mean, I would be upset if we weren't using a particularly fucking strong and fast version of the werewolves, and at that point, the Deadites
I'm
are going
not
to
sure
get
it might-
shredded.
Like vampires and undead, as a general piece of lore, are poisoned by werewolf bites and that kind of thing. Plus, werewolves can regenerate.
Well, the Deadites are closer to zombies, aren't they? Than
Yeah,
vampires?
they're kind of in a different category. Like they're kind of halfway between zombies and demons, aren't they?
Yeah. So,
I don't think
which
the
doesn't
werewolves would
help.
rip them apart.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is I feel like the werewolves are going to fucking smash these guys.
I would
What's
assume
the
so.
Deadites
deal with
don't
the
need to-
Deadites' blood? What's the deal with that?
The thing is, the Deadites don't need to bite you to turn you into them. They can just kill you, turn you into them. They're very inconsistent, the Deadites. They've got this very whole supernatural thing going on, and they're very powerful, and they're very sadistic as well. I mean, they don't seem to have no fear. They'll mock your misery, torture you, whatever, psychologically, and they probably could fuck the werewolves up.
Drinker, have you
I mean,
got,
they do. You're right. I just don't know if that's going to have much impact on a werewolf. Like, I don't
I think
you
a werewolf
can
would tear
really-
them apart before they could
Well,
do that.
just to be clear, what movie are you thinking of when we've got the werewolf here? Like, what would you want us to
American
base
Werewolf
on?
in London, maybe? Like when it's fully transformed, that's pretty fucking brutal.
Because you know the Van Helsing werewolf, as much as that's an interesting reference. Like I feel like Deadites would get fucking slaughtered by how hulking
That's a
fast
powerful werewolf, right?
yeah. That's why I was just clarifying on the power level of our werewolf, I guess.
Because they're obviously they're extremely resistant to physical damage. Because the only thing that's going to hurt, like really hurt them, is silver, isn't it?
Which the Deadites are smart enough to get a hold of that, right?
Yeah, they're very
I
good at
mean-
reading people, aren't they?
But
Very
you
good
don't
at
really see the Deadites using weapons all that much. Generally,
But they
like,
might do if enough of them see a werewolf, I guess. Maybe.
Are they
They have
underworld
these-
intelligent to the point where they could make like liquid silver weapon, like guns?
Well, but you don't need a silver bullet as opposed to a silver thing you can stab a werewolf with, right?
Well,
can
it's
the
just a
werewolf
massive
generate
advantage
more to
because
rip
if you've
around?
just got like a silver knife, the werewolf can still absolutely because they'd be way stronger.
I don't see the Deadites having that degree of like foresight and planning and stuff, and just actually caring that much about,
Do they
being
know what werewolves
analytical.
are, Drinker, or are we wiping that from their knowledge?
I think, gosh, if you're talking about Deadites, right, that like are part of this like ancient lore of like the Necronomicon and stuff, I feel like they'd probably have an awareness of werewolves. I think that'd be reasonable.
I
They
think
would know about other supernatural entities like vampires and zombies and stuff.
I think even with the best defense given to the Deadites, that the werewolves are going to have it.
I think you're probably right. Like, especially if you did it one-on-one, I think a werewolf would just tear a Deadite to pieces. So
How
yeah.
self-aware
Okay,
or
that has
aware
narrowed
are
it down.
werewolves, though?
One-on-one, yeah, probably was. Many of them, the Deadites probably would succeed, but one-on-one, yeah, the werewolves, because if they can lose one-on-one to Ash, a man with a chainsaw for a hand, then yeah.
I love
like it.
Dog Soldiers.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
love-
great movie.
It is superb.
I think
I
it's
don't-
all over. It is now.
What? No,
Yeah.
I like the bit where they're discussing the turning, and it's like, well, maybe it's like taking a piss when you've really got to go. You've really got to go. It's like, no, maybe you can wait and hold it.
It's like taking a shit, yeah. Just because
Yeah,
you need to
you
go,
can
it doesn't
just
mean you have to
wait for
curl
it.
one out. No, that was genuinely a superb movie. I love that one. Yeah, okay. I'm giving this round to werewolves, and the final matchup on this category is Pazuzu from The Exorcist versus Kane from Poltergeist. And I found the most horrific picture I could find of that guy. Apparently, I joke, right? But apparently the actor was dying of cancer when they filmed this. So like that's why he looks like a fucking living skull.
Oh. Let me think.
But yeah, so
any
from the
joke I was
movie,
gonna make.
from the movie Poltergeist, they have quite extensive powers. I suppose, whether it's like causing hallucinations, levitation, like all kinds of like they can destroy like physical things around them.
I feel like,
And same with the poltergeist.
would Pazuzu not just strictly outrank like ancient demon level possession versus angry death? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
So yeah, I think if you're going in this idea like all this stuff can exist, there maybe is a hierarchy with this stuff, and so a poltergeist is like a low level ghost versus like a demon who's like pretty like middle manager kind of thing.
Boss. Yeah.
yeah.
So in terms of spiritual power, maybe the Pazuzu's got it.
I mean, Pazuzu's the Antichrist. He is the devil, according to his.
No, he's not actual Satan, is he? He's like an underling.
But he says, "I am the devil," not a devil.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to oversell himself. It's like self-promotion, man. That's what these guys are all about. It's sickening,
yeah, but
honestly.
one of
I
them
hate
says,
it.
he goes by several voices and names, and the other priest says, "No, there is only one." So I don't know. I think he's the real deal. He's just playing with Reagan and playing with that family. He's only like on one of his potential power levels. I think for most of that film.
That is true. That what they say during it's like, no, do not believe anything they say.
Yeah. And I'm looking at what they're physically capable of doing in our world, right? And like when I see the destruction that the poltergeist causes versus what Pazuzu does, I feel like the poltergeist seems to have more power in our physical world. I mean,
yeah, but
takes a house and like
holding
crunches
back
it up like it's a packet of crisps. Like that's pretty
but
powerful.
Pazuzu was holding back his power because there's one point where he opens up the drawer and then the priest says, "Do it again." He says, "No, that would be too vulgar a display of power." So he's got the power if he wants to. He's just toying with you.
Or is it that he can't and he just wants to make you think that he can?
Because like couldn't he just crumple both of the priests into a ball of flesh and broken bones, and like he's just won automatically?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why would a demon allow themselves to be excised if they could just stop it whenever they wanted, kind of thing?
But he flings himself into the Karis, the priest, and keeps himself going.
Well, until he throws himself down the stairs, I suppose. No, I guess. Well,
Pazuzu has the
what do you
latent
reckon?
power, so I go with him. He's got the latent power.
Okay, I'm going to go with the poltergeist on this one, I think. Just in terms of like what influence they seem to have over the physical world. I think the poltergeist might be a bit more powerful. MauLer, what is your take?
Maybe if I rewatch both films, I could be convinced otherwise. But for now, I think I'm going to sit with the Pazuzu.
Okay.
Just generally speaking, I feel like Pazuzu would have more control over something like a poltergeist situation.
Bastard.
So far, what I've got from Pazuzu is that he needs a physical body. So yeah, I think Kane might have the advantage here.
Okay. Poltergeist and Disparu, because it's 2-2 so you're the deciding vote.
I don't know enough about these movies to really comment. That's my issue.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm gonna have to put it to the chat.
Oh yeah,
God
watch
help us.
Exorcist.
Well,
Watch
that's the thing.
Exorcist. Watch
Because
Exorcist
I-
1, ignore number 2, and watch Exorcist 3. Exorcist 3 is fucking underrated. It's really
This is
good.
the
It's
thing.
a pretty good movie.
Just going from what everyone else has said, like obvious, I think a demon outranks a poltergeist, but I don't know enough. So chat knows more than me.
Tengu Mans
All
gets it. Look at
Tell you what,
Flacco.
I'm gonna put this to the chat since we are split down the middle on this one. Let me just, because I have to actually go into the chat from the outside world, and that's like a
Whoa.
horrific way of doing it.
A whole bunch of Pazuzu
And I'll
stands.
give it a couple of minutes for people to make their decisions. So,
Pazumbo.
all right. So, all right, create a poll right now.
Because the weird thing about poltergeists is, aren't they normally deemed to be more like mischievous? I think they're like one of the like lowest ranking as of ghosts. Like they're the kind of ones that generally just cause mischief and move things.
It is one of those things where it's like we'd have to go from any and all references in the movie to exactly what kind of format we're dealing with, because poltergeist, ghost, ghoul, or fucking whatever have you, like spirit, it's dependent on the writer, I guess. Because I'm with you on like general rules. I would have assumed poltergeist is just that's kind of what I'm relying on, is that I just see poltergeist gets outranked, outclassed hard by Pazuzu, but that could just be a misunderstanding.
Right.
Yeah, because there are demons that you could imagine being on the same level, but most demons.
All right, let's see how we're doing here. So,
Pazuzu's got the one-liners, like he's going to say to Kane, you know, what your mother does in hell.
I like Pazuzu's style. That's the thing. Gets in your head more. Kane's just more about like messing up things around you, like creating hallucinations.
I just
like that he's got more savage burns. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I love the Google description or definition of poltergeist: a ghost or other supernatural being supposedly responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises and throwing objects about.
Yeah, poltergeists are like universally weak. If you're going to be haunted, have a poltergeist. It just like moves your keys a bit. So that's kind of all it does.
I just love the description of throws objects about. Like, fuck it, whatever.
So we've had like 500 votes on the polls. Pazuzu looks like he's going to take it. He's like 75%. So the chat hath spoken. So I think we have to give that round to Pazuzu then. So
Pazuzu.
All right. How do I then level this out? Okay, so say I was to put Freddy Krueger against Pinhead.
Maybe Pinhead can get to Freddy, as wild as that
Pinhead has been
sounds.
pretty supernatural longer than Freddy, so he probably knows a few more things.
If Freddy exists, so to speak, in the dream world, like whenever someone isn't dreaming that he's hunting, if he just exists there, then Pinhead can probably get to him. Pinhead's pretty incredible power-wise.
I think once you've unlocked the box, like if say Freddy Krueger unlocked the Lamentation configuration, like I think Pinhead would get him.
And you know Freddy would pick that thing up and be like, "What's this?"
Yeah, I think the thing is, Pinhead would get him and torture him forever, and Freddy could probably be up for that. I think
he would laugh about it. All the chains pull him to
fun.
pieces. He'd just be laughing.
Yeah, I think So I'm going to give that to Pinhead actually.
Pinhead is watching him on a TV, and then he says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch," and swoops down on him. Not even then.
So the Terrifier versus Pazuzu. It's kind of a weird one.
Pazuzu, right?
Well, yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Terrifier would kill that fucker. He just would.
So the Terrifier doesn't experience, like, I mean, does he even have a soul or anything like that you could get to?
Yeah, apparently he is some kind of supernatural entity. I think the short movie that came out before the actual Terrifiers explain it.
I mean, I think, again, if we're going by power levels, maybe Pazuzu being an actual literal demon would be able to get him as powerful as he is. So I think maybe, probably makes sense to give that one to Pazuzu. Okay. Well, then you've got a werewolf versus Pinhead.
Werewolf's fucked.
Yeah. Pinhead's going to just rip him apart. So, yeah. That takes the werewolf out of the equation. Okay, then so it comes down to Pinhead versus Pazuzu.
Well, it's
demon versus demon, essentially.
Yeah. It's a worthy final.
Yeah. It's hard to think of something that you can even make a first step on this fight, you know? It's like,
Yes, did you say Pinhead was younger than Pazuzu?
That's where I was going with this. I think it's like Pazuzu is like an ancient primordial demon, essentially, whereas Pinhead's kind of new on the scene. Like,
Pazuzu
relatively.
might know a few tricks.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe that makes Pazuzu more powerful.
But Pazuzu's he's coming into the real world as a kind of tourist to just like possess someone, screw things around. And he's going to find himself maybe a little bit not quite what he bargained for with Pinhead. And I think so that
it would be a hell of a fight. Honestly, I'd love to see them interact with each other somehow.
Hmm.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't know. Because what is Pazuzu exactly going to do? Like, what's his way of fighting?
Either possession or I think probably it's possession, isn't it? Like that's how he ultimately destroys people.
Can he possess
that's
anomalies? I don't know.
That's all you've seen of him, but if they're both demons and they could go and visit each other in hell, then you'd be against their actual forms.
Maybe they're good friends. Like maybe they work together in the past. I don't know.
They're in the same room as each other.
Yeah, it's
The
like
Ragnarok.
they're kind of like we hang out. We see each other sometimes, but we work in different departments, and it's a bit of a distant relationship. I don't really like him, but I work with him sometimes.
Basically, like having one thing versus another thing. Like they pretty much kind of cancel each other out.
You tend to find in this scenario that the older things are more powerful simply because they've survived longer. And it's a case of if you were weak, you would have died to something more powerful. So the fact that you're ancient and evil means that you're incredibly powerful just because you've survived this long.
And I think demons of the kind of Pazuzu can't be destroyed in a normal sense. They can't be defeated. Whereas Pinhead and the other Xenobites, they can be injured under the right circumstances. They can be injured and killed. Because you see that in one of the later Hellraiser movies. So
I mean, Pazuzu stretches back to countless millennia of deep theological forces and powers beyond even our conception. So surely just he has to win based off that power.
I think that nails it. Yeah.
I mean, would one not be able to make that argument for Pinhead? He's connected to possibly an even ancient, because he's like Lovecraftian, the evil that connects everything to do with Hellraiser.
Well,
right?
the evil behind him might be more powerful than he is himself. Because we're talking about Pinhead, the actual individual, rather than the power that he represents. And I think maybe Pazuzu's more powerful than he might be.
I abstain.
No one's going to judge you for that.
I'm going to give it to Pinhead. Sorry, Pazuzu on this one. All right. That brings us to the final category, which is science gone wrong. So, science, you stand charged with going too far, and your first examples are the zombies from I Am Legend versus the crawlers from The Descent.
Wait,
So I was trying to match zombies up with each other, kind of thing.
Why would the crawlers be science gone wrong?
Well, it was as close as I could get because
Okay, I got you.
they're not supernatural and they're not slashers, they're not serial killers or anything. So
They're just kind of humans that evolved in these caves, really, haven't they?
Pretty much, yeah. So that's science.
Well, the issue is, wouldn't I Am Legend win by numbers alone?
Well,
it's one versus one, though.
Yeah, let's 1v1.
Oh.
So they're both quite fast and strong, but the crawlers cannot see.
And the crawlers can be killed conventionally, as in, if you get a hard rock and hit it in the head, it's done. Not to say that you can't do that with the zombies from I Am Legend, but they can see.
They can be killed by gunfire and stuff, can't they?
Sure, it's just these are pretty evenly matched, but one of them is blind.
So what if you put one of them zombies into a cave with the crawlers? Just hypothetically.
And then it would, if it makes enough noise and the crawler gets the jump on it, yeah, it probably wins.
Yeah. Can these zombies actually learn to figure stuff out? Because I've not seen I Am Legend, so yeah. Or will they just continue to make noise and not really?
They're not meant to. That they would. Very basic.
Well, what's kind of interesting about this is that the zombies in I Am Legend will be docile until disturbed, and the crawlers are not going to notice them until they are disturbed, if you understand what I'm saying. So it's really the first one to make the contact, and then they'll both go. Oh my god!
This weird zero-sum game where neither of them does anything because they just don't disturb each other.
It's like just peace.
Yeah, just chilling.
I mean, but how do we start the competition? Is there a chick in a bikini holding up a round one sign and then a dinging bell?
Well, she died first.
Yeah, someone
I thought you said chicken in bikini.
No, a chick in a bikini.
Yeah, it's probably a zombie with a phone, and as soon as they're trying to sneak past the fucking crawlers, the phone goes off saying, "Hey mate, how you doing? No, I ain't got nothing." So
Yeah.
I get the feeling that the zombies are a bit more intelligent and maybe a bit more dangerous.
Will Smith outsmarted them.
He didn't. He died.
Yeah. Well, he blew himself
outsmarted them for a
up.
long time.
For a long time, sure.
Well, they look like an army of Jada Pinkett's right now, anyway. So
Thing is, it's easy to outsmart someone when you've got 800 rounds a minute to call upon to back you up. You know.
if
I
they
don't
could
know. Like,
figure it out, then maybe they could have a chance against the crawlers, even though they are a little bit feral. But they seem, from the clips I saw, they did seem a little bit instinctive.
Well, here's someone who's weighing in. James Moore says the I Am Legend. They're not zombies; they're vampires, and they do have intelligence. They make traps and they can tear through walls.
That's true, but
Oh.
the crawlers have that too. They're not like mindless.
They
They
are pretty dumb though.
But they'll. Well, so the point is that like what scenario are we in? What is? Are we in the cave or are we somewhere else?
I thought we were still in our space room.
Yeah, I think we just put them in our sort of like blank room, I suppose.
So if it's a blank
Basically,
room,
like the
there's
pit
nothing
in
that
Mad Max 3, basically.
the zombie can't do any prep, and it can't do anything other than time to start the fight. And once it's done that, it's basically just the two of them scrapping against each other.
Yeah. And I think based on what I saw in the movie, particularly when you see like relatively small, not particularly strong characters going up against the crawlers and kind of holding their own, it makes me think that maybe the zombies are a bit stronger and more dangerous.
You can
they can
do
survive
that with
more
the
hit,
zombies
like
in
the
I Am
crawlers
Legend, though. It's possible.
the-
It's just that there's a swarm of them all the time.
The crawlers are just people evolved, so surely the zombies can take more damage.
Yeah. Plus, so the only variable is that they can see. They can also take more damage. So zombies.
Okay. I do like this one. He survived for 3 years in that movie with a dog, and it died within a week when a woman showed up. Just ruin everything.
The dog died before the woman showed up, right?
Diversity
I'm
rules.
trying to remember. I haven't seen that movie in like 10
Because
years.
the dog dies, and then Will Smith goes on like a self-sabotage mission, and then she saves him because she's just arrived.
Oh, it might be, yeah, actually, yeah.
So
the
the women helped in this one, you know. I gotta say, I'm just saying.
Well, check you out, MauLer.
Well, they replaced a dog. Congratulations.
The dog was awesome. I'm not denying that.
It was. The next one is Brundlefly from The Fly versus the Judas strain from Mimic. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen Mimic, these are essentially gigantic cockroaches that can broadly mimic human noises and appearance and stuff. But they have big old claws and stuff to get you, and they can fly and move really quickly.
Are we taking Brundlefly in this form on screen or his final form?
So I'm going to put him in his final form, so he can vomit up digestive acid on you, and he's quite strong, essentially.
I just don't think he's aggressive enough. I think he's too docile. He's too like intellectually self-aware. The whole point of him is he's not interested in fighting. He'd be very reluctant, and I think it'd be so why are you? I don't know why you would want to be fighting me. Like it'd be all like that.
Jeff Goldbluming it, yeah. I mean, once he gets into his final form, he's essentially not thinking too much anymore. He's just like an animal.
Well, this is Mimic, hands down. Judas strain.
I think so. I don't know if anyone else has got anything.
I'll go with Mimic. They seem to have more advantage as well. They do.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a fucking cool movie, actually. I don't know why it didn't get more attention at the time.
I'll take it out.
Plus, you need to be thinking long term. Like, is Brundlefly seriously going to take on Bazuza? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, you have to think about that. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Should we give this one to the Mimic then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is the T-800 versus the Nemesis from Resident Evil. And I can do this because they did actually do
the remake Nemesis.
Well, this is actually from. I have to because we're kind of doing movies, so I sort of have to do it from
Oh.
Resident Evil now.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
And I feel bad about this because the game Nemesis is way better.
Well, the first question needs to be done. What's the T-800 got weapons-wise?
Okay, so let's do a little thought experiment here. Imagine they've both got like some decent weapons that are appropriate to them. So the T-800 might have like a plasma assault rifle.
It's the T-800. If you want
The
to do
Nemesis, I will say, will have like a bazooka and a minigun because that tends to be what he has in the game. So
I could see it as a potential for Nemesis to fire a big old rocket into the T-800 and it actually blows apart. Maybe, considering the pipe bomb in T1.
Yeah.
But if the T-800's got its plasma rifle, I think Nemesis is fucked.
I think so. And then imagine, okay, so if it was hand to hand, they didn't have any of their weapons.
T-800.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Because the Nemesis is a big old
dude.
big
Fucking
lad.
Alice went toe to toe with Nemesis in a fist
If
fight.
Mila Jovovich can beat
Just
him,
what you see,
T-800
Lance.
can.
But she was basically the Captain Marvel of her day.
No, she wasn't.
Well,
Captain Marvel's way
She
more
was way hotter
powerful.
than Captain
I'm
Marvel.
just, yeah. But she was like, so insanely overpowered beyond like,
Only at the end of that
anything.
movie, when she got her, like, telekinetic powers, that's when she really became stupidly OP.
That's
Yeah.
okay though, because they overwrote that at the beginning.
Yeah,
of the next
immediately.
movie,
They were like, oh, we've messed up here.
Can this
Am I the
fight
only
take
one
place in the Tech Noir nightclub? That'd be a great setting for this.
I
fight.
hope so. Yeah. Shall we give this one to the T-800 then?
Yeah,
I
it absolutely will
definitely
not
would.
stop
They're
ever.
probably there.
Mhm.
All right.
It's a close one. It's a close one. Am I the only one who thinks Mila Jovovich is only really good depending on which director she's sleeping with?
I mean,
No, that's-
Mila Jovovich is a dog shit
I mean, she-
actress. Like,
I know.
it's like,
Yeah, but when
Yeah,
she's
yeah, pretend-
directing it,
But she'll wake up in a shower.
she's like Steven Seagal with breasts. Like, but she basically
I
just
didn't
plays the
need
same
that
fucking
mental image.
character.
Steven Seagal has breasts.
The ironic thing is, yeah, I think Steven Seagal's breasts are bigger than Mila Jovovich.
She's Steven Seagal with smaller boobs.
Yeah, she did on Deadly Ground there last night, didn't you? Did you know that the original speech lasted 11 fucking minutes? It was supposed to be
That
11
is
minutes. but it got cut
amazing.
down to 4.
I want to see the director's cut of on Deadly Ground.
I think you might regret asking for that.
It's amazing. Well, okay, I will give this one to the T-800 then. I think he wins it hands down. And so the final one, I just wanted to dick around with this one and have fun. It's not even science related or whatever. It's just Pyramid Head from Silent Hill versus the Demigorgon from Stranger Things.
That's a challenge because I'm.
Both are extremely
watch
resistant to physical damage.
Pyramid Head, I think, right? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
He's gonna
But the thing is,
slap
like,
that Demogorgon with that weapon, and it'll be over. I think.
But can you even damage it, really?
The
'Cause I'm
Demogorgon?
going. Yeah, well, I'm going with the Demigorgon from like the original Stranger Things rather than like season 2, where you can just like shoot them and kill them, because like that original one can take like hundreds of rounds of like assault rifle fire and just keep going. It doesn't even seem to harm
Honestly,
it.
in my head, I see them both. They go at each other. The Demogorgon starts like speeding up, and Pyramid Head just goes, and then like the Demogorgon tries to get up, and he just continues to bloop, bloop, bloop over and over again until the Demogorgon's just a puddle.
Okay.
Yeah, he's won me over.
Even looking at the bodies, even looking at the bodies between the two of them, like Pyramid Head is like, ah.
I mean, Pyramid Head lifts, definitely. The Demigorgon's like this weird extra dimensional entity, though, that doesn't really conform to the rules of our universe. So there's a.
Yeah, but
there's
as
a
long as
slight-
it's got a physical form, just coming from another dimension doesn't innately help you. You can still
Yeah,
be killed.
I think this is what I found so interesting about the first season of Stranger Things, where like he can essentially stand there and get shot by like small arms fire, and it just doesn't even seem to do anything to him. It's like it doesn't even affect his physical body. And I don't know where that comes from, but yeah, it was kind of curious. Like, then the only thing that could ultimately stop him was 11.
Well, that was the thing with Stranger Things. They kept evolving more and more into like, oh, we need these people with telekinetic powers. It's the only chance we've got. So
too many evil creatures these days with faces that open up like flaps. Seems to be a big trend these days.
You know, I vote for more. Let's keep it
that's
going.
what Pyramid's head opens up.
Yep.
More
These more
flappy
pyramids.
faces.
Yeah.
I got a fever, and the only remedy is more vagina faces.
Should we give this round to Pyramid Head then? It seems like that's the prevailing opinion.
Sure.
I'll give it, yeah.
All right. Okay. Pyramid Head takes it then. So, to wrap this final round up, I will say, let's pit the zombies from I Am Legend versus the mimics, or should I say the Judas Strain?
Yeah, would imitating the other zombies work with them though?
That's is that 1v1, right? Or is it a group v group?
1v1.
I think we're just gonna have to go 1v1. And I probably, you're probably right. Like, I don't think imitating them is gonna affect them. Like, it's probably just gonna have to come down to a fight.
It's got claws. It could probably could take on the zombies a little physically.
It's powerful and it's quite fast, but like they are quite fragile at the same time. Like gunfire and stuff can take them down. So it's kind of balanced, I think, between them. I think it just comes down to who you think might be more robust or who might be more intelligent.
Well, from what you said, the mimics seem more intelligent, so I'll go with the mimics.
By a hair, I'll go with mimics, I think.
Same.
All right.
Zombies as a class go by strength of numbers more than anything else.
Yeah, I think these are kind of like, as people were saying in chat, they're classed more as like vampire type things. So they're less like shuffling corpses.
That's a reference to, they were more so that in the book. In the film, there's zombies that can't go out in the day. That's pretty much what they are.
Yeah, but they're super fast and stuff. So they're kind
and
of
they can think and plan, but they're still, I would class them as zombies before I'd class them as vampires in the film.
They were still horde-based.
Yeah.
This next one's going to be amazing. Pyramid Head versus the Terminator.
Oh, that's a clash of the titans.
Pyramid Head.
Yeah, Pyramid Head. I mean,
he's kind of
it's more of a supernatural thing, isn't he? So, and the
Terminator, like, he's not going to get tired. He can't be intimidated. He can't be,
Yeah, but Pyramid Head doesn't rely on those kind of things anyway. It's just like brute violence. Like, if he could destroy the T-800, he would just rip him apart.
Or you could tell the Terminator you're going to get plain curtains for kids instead of ones with butterflies. That was fucking stupid. That really was. I can't believe James Cameron was okay with that.
What do you reckon? Should we give this one to Pyramid Head then?
Pyramid Head.
Are we sure? Come on, we're talking the T-800 here.
And I love the T-800. I do, but...
I mean, it's hard to say. We're dealing again with very, very different creatures. It's hard to be definitive on how they interact.
Because this is the first Terminator, right? So it's not the second, like the liquid.
No, the first one. So T-800.
Yeah, so it's easier to defeat. It's not as if it'd have anything to surprise him. As long as he tore it apart, it'd win.
But I just almost feel like the T-800 would just like continuously pummel Pyramid Head until he crumpled.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the T-800, he's not going to get tired. He's not going to like quit, and he can't be like terrorized or anything. So I feel like maybe he could take this.
Wouldn't Pyramid Head be strong? I think it comes down to, is Pyramid Head strong enough that with the swing of his sword he could break off limbs?
Yeah,
of the T-800.
That's what it's going to come down to. Depends what the games that you play and stuff. Like, you can quite often see him destroy scenery. But it'll be like things like metal cages and stuff that he can just demolish with a swing of his sword. So could a T-800 stand up to that? Possibly.
Because the T-800 doesn't have like, it's not very strategic. It just like, I'm stronger than you, I'm just going to walk in and kill you kind of thing. So I don't think it has any kind of self-preservation. It wouldn't be like, well, this guy could cut off the things, I'm going to be cautious here. It would just march in straight to him. So if the guy is strong enough to break...
It is tactical, though.
Mm-hmm.
like it is tactical, and like it does retreat sometimes when the odds are stacked against it.
Isn't Pyramid Head like only killable if the person who's fighting it comes to terms with their like personal insecurities or failings or whatever have you?
So in a way, yes. And so you think to yourself, well, the T800 is not going to have any personal insecurities or hang-ups or anything. So
Unless he regrets
Would it
being
just
in
be-
Dark Fate, who knows?
would it be
Yeah.
invulnerable to Pyramid Head's influence? I don't know.
I
This is why
think
it's
Pyramid Head could
tough.
probably prevail if he keeps his distance and just use the weapon at hand. Who knows?
Yeah. I think
It's got feelings. It can say, "I know now why you cry." It's got the ability to.
Yeah,
to
the Terminator can go
understand
wah wah wah, and then the Pyramid Head shows up, and then he goes, "I have actually managed to. I'm okay now." And Pyramid Head's like, "Fuck, you got me."
I might give this one to the Terminator,
Mhm.
I think.
I don't know why you cry, but it's something I can never do. So yeah, maybe that's something that it regrets. So it does have self-reflection.
Sure, give it to the robot.
Well, I'll tell you what then, that makes the final confrontation of this the Terminator versus the Mimic. And I think I know which one wins.
Yeah, Terminator. Come on.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's going to crush it.
Yeah.
Like, squash the bug. All right. Nice. He wins. So, our final results. For serial killers, Jason Voorhees wins. He comes out on top. For aliens and such like, we got The Thing. That just dominates everything. In the supernatural category, we've got Pazuzu from The Exorcist. And for science gone wrong, we've got the Terminator.
Brilliant.
Those are our ultimate victors in this little battle of the monsters and of horror, which I think is like pretty worthy. I would say I think they've done pretty well to get this far.
Mhm.
I just can't believe that Pyramid Head got beaten by what will essentially turn out to be a waifu maid gone wrong. That's why it was invented, and we all know it.
Yeah.
That's where it's leading. But you know what? I'm happy to go on that road. See where it leads us. Well, I tell you what. Now that we found our final movie monsters, like the ultimate ones, would you guys be up for answering a few super chats before we finish up?
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Come on.
Let's see what we got. So, Spaceman says, favorite spooky Doctor Who episodes for the panel.
Ooh, what's the name of that episode where they're on that space plane and you never see it? It's on the outside and it seems to mimic that girl. It possesses that woman and
Oh, I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name. Like, I'm terrible with the names of episodes. This is Az and Gary territory for the names, but I know the one
and
you mean.
she starts manipulating everyone to think the
Mhm.
Doctor is the one possessed. That is a good one. That is
Yeah.
very suspenseful, very
It, like,
scary.
everything reverses, and so he
Mhm.
starts going from, like, I'm repeating you to I'm a...
You talking about Midnight?
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all set in one room, and it's literally... they start dragging him out of the carriage and everything. It's really
Yeah,
good.
that's not only my favorite spooky episode of Doctor Who, it's like the best episode of Doctor Who for me.
Ooh.
Hmm.
I have a soft spot for the library, mainly because of the ending.
Who turned out the lights?
Yes,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
mainly
Oh,
down.
man,
It's
yeah.
mainly down to the ending, especially the ending speech, in that everybody dies, but not all days, and some days everybody survives. I really like that. Where he goes down to save her, and he literally saves her in the data. I like that one.
Silence of the
And-
Library and Forest of the Dead combo. That is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, both of them combined. I'm cheating a little bit.
I always enjoyed The Empty Child.
Yep.
I think that was
Oh, yeah.
season, Ninth Doctor. I think that was the Christopher Eccleston
Mhm.
one. But that's pretty good, pretty freaky.
And it does have a very heartwarming ending.
It does, yeah. It is nice with Doctor Who. It's like just once in a while, everyone
Mm-hmm.
gets to survive.
Mhm.
I quite
pretty
liked Earthshock, which was way back with the Fifth Doctor. It was involving the Cybermen. It was like pretty grueling stuff, pretty visceral and intense. So that'd be my one.
Nice.
And
I went back to the serial Doctors, don't they? Where it was just like one episode would continue after the other, to help you get to know the characters a bit more. Because I think that is the one flaw with the new Doctors, because you had to get to know another bunch of characters after one episode, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. But I doubt that's going to happen though, especially with the way Doctor Who's been gone through these days.
As
Yeah,
like
now
a
we get space
bonus,
babies.
my second favorite would be the finale of the Children of Earth, and it's literally because what would you do? What price would you pay to save other people? I think it deals with a lot of interesting ideas, the Children of Earth, which they could never deal with today.
Gotta mention
that
Family
bit
and
where
Blood.
that bit where fucking Barrett, where Captain Jack sacrifices his own grandchild. I mean, that was harsh, man. Really harsh.
Well,
Jesus.
yes. I was trying without saying what it was. I was trying to, yes.
But yeah,
Family
it was a
Blood
good
and
episode where
Blink
Peter
as well.
Capaldi killing his own kids as well, just to avoid them going through. He really does push the boundaries here as well.
It's the difference between old entertainment and new entertainment. Old entertainment would be what horrors would you do in order to do the right thing? Now it's just everybody is evil, and we're trying to say this evil thing is good. It completely misunderstands morality.
Makes sense. Mac says, greetings from Sky. Blade Runner 2099 TV miniseries apparently in production. Please don't be for modern audiences. Why tamper with classics? Yeah, you could probably make that argument about Blade Runner 2049. But yeah, so they're doing another one? Really? Jesus.
Completely pointless.
Tom Waiting says, what's a song that you love that you discovered from a movie or a TV show's soundtrack? Ooh, okay.
House of the Rising Sun, Casino. That's a good
That's
one.
a pretty good one. Yeah.
Discovered from a film soundtrack.
I never discovered one from it. Because normally you hear the soundtrack when you're watching the thing.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think back to watching movies as a kid that maybe have like songs from like the 60s or the 70s or something, and I'm sure there was things like that.
Let me think about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of things where I think the soundtrack is like an integral part. Like you've obviously got Lord of the Rings, but if you want a TV series, there's a moment in Alias. I can't remember which season it is. It's first or second, where she's literally walking down. I think it's the first. It was after the Super Bowl. They needed a reason to catch people from the Super Bowl to watch the series, and so they literally had Jennifer Garner walking down in lingerie to is it AC/DC, something like that. And it's literally walking down the plane in lingerie. The music captures the entire scene, and with different music, it wouldn't work as well.
I know what scene you're talking about because it felt very promotional.
Everybody remembers that scene, which is seen Alias.
That was a different time in TV. There ain't no way they would do something like that now.
It was literally, if you paid a lot of money to end up after the Super Bowl, how are you going to grab people in the next 10 seconds? And they knew and understood and could actually do what they could do. They couldn't do that today. They wouldn't know how to, I don't know. I need 8 hours to introduce a character.
Yeah. Next one here is Haywood Jablome says, hello, drinker and panel. Happy to catch an open bar. MauLer just ordered a set of plushies. Shout out to Disparu for his hilarious line, Mr. Horse, can you drool in my mouth? I'm dying of thirst. Rings of Power, season 2.
I didn't even remember that one myself.
I was going to say, damn.
You went in hard with that one.
Yeah, look, my reviews go in strange directions, and then I forget them. I
haven't seen what you've seen.
Yeah. And yeah,
that was the spider episode. Yeah, I'm like, how on earth can he save the spider? Like, he's been stuck in this spider cave for days. He's probably dying, starving.
So first we have to feel sorry for orcs, and now we have to feel sorry for criminals that Batman gives mental anguish over. It's who's hiring these fucking idiots to write these shows?
Isildur wasn't a criminal. He just wanted to break up somebody's marriage.
And drink horse drool, apparently.
Look, he would have been dying of thirst in a spider cave. It made sense.
And he ended up getting cock blocked anyway for his efforts. So
he should have done.
He's a home wrecker.
She should have got thrown out on the street.
Canada Plus says, happy Halloween, great panel lineup. I was curious if you've seen a favorite episode of South Park. It's a Halloween episode, Night of the Living Homeless. It's my favorite.
It's a fucking brilliant episode.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Oh, yes. Remember that.
They're all going about like Got any spare change, man? Like, they
Yeah,
just
they're
keep
all
going.
they're all breaking into that guy's house, and so he gets his gun, and he's like, "All right, got to do it," and he shoots himself, and I think they cut away. Then they cut back, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm okay. I got to do it again. Fuck," and then he shoots himself again and again, and it's like, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, he just
Then he
walked
gets up
fucking
in pain again, like, "Oh fuck," and then he shoots himself in the head like 7 times. He's like, it's so fucking funny.
I love it when one of the guy loses his house and becomes homeless, then fucking Randy just blows his head off. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's a crazy episode.
I love the Imagination Land episodes as well.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, I was going to say that's so good.
Yeah, I like his song. It's just him screaming, imagination, imagination. And it just goes on.
It's so shit. In the best way.
Gene the Revenant says, cheers and happy Halloween. With the Nosferatu remake coming out in a few months, what are the panel's thoughts on the original from 1922?
Good. Watch it without the sound.
Ooh.
And turn the lights out. It really does.
As originally intended.
Mm.
I mean,
Can only
you consider a
imagine how
movie
terrifying that must have been actually when it came out. You know, to see that horrific visage in that face must have been incredible.
Yeah, and this was
now
like not so long ago that they had someone shooting at the screen and the audience would actually duck down thinking they would get shot.
But yeah, I mean, even by today's standards, like it looks, makeup wise and stuff, it's actually pretty impressive. Like it does have a quite unsettling look about it. And so, yeah, like you said, Echo, imagine audiences watching that over 100 years ago. Like how freaky that must have been back then. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, check out Shadow of the Vampire as well. That's a good one where it's a fictionalized version where Max Schreck is a real fucking vampire and the director is really trying to prevent him from killing the fucking crow just to get the film made. It's very fucking funny. And Willem Dafoe is really fucking hilarious as ever.
Marksman says 1 hour Stalker film released on Evans Royalties YouTube channel. Started as a fan film, now deemed as official promotional material by the game company. It's a fun watch and I highly recommend. Worth your time. There you go. Stalker film. So is that the Chernobyl thing, like based on the games? I assume so.
I assume so as well.
Which is pretty cool. TGV Monster says, Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Oh, fucking yeah.
Oh, Season of the Witch, man. That is fucking
I just
underrated.
remember the guy at the end on the phone call to like the TV networks just screaming at them like, stop it! Stop it!
You can really tell John Carpenter's fingerprints are on this movie, even though he didn't direct it, because it still has that 80s Carpenter vibe as well.
It's such a mental film because it's so divorced from everything else in the series, and I think it's when they had this weird idea that it was going to become a horror anthology franchise,
which makes
where
no
everything
sense
was going to
because
be.
they already did Halloween 2 and Michael Myers, so that wouldn't have worked. And they should have had it as an anthology anyway. They should not have made Halloween 2. They should have just made it an anthology after each sequel because the Halloween sequels with Michael Myers were shit anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like a bit of a weird offshoot. And it's got one of those great lines that just lampshades a massive plot point where they've transported the entirety of Stonehenge to America. And the villain just goes, oh, we had a hell of a time bringing it here. You wouldn't believe how we did it. Anyway, moving on. Brilliant. Yeah. MauLer, if you could make a Nightmare on Elm Street, what would you do?
Kind of what 3 does. Like if you've seen our coverage, we go over like what we think the strengths of the whole thing is, and it's taking advantage of characters that have like dramatic insecurities. Got to build them up as characters and then torment them, and the way they can fight back is to address those insecurities, try to turn them on Freddy, and you got to make him somewhat defeatable, or at least mechanically interesting beyond he just fucks you up and kills you. And then I'd really want to focus on like something we felt was missing from the whole franchise was better uses of tricking you into thinking whether or not you're actually in a dream or not. And to be honest with you, representing dreams. We've all dreamed. I wanted to see more subtle, insane things like moving from one room to another and it's a completely different area, but you don't even necessarily clock it that well. Or someone just is speaking to you and then just, one of the sentences they have is completely nonsense and has nothing to do with it, whatever you were talking about. And I'd say like Mike Flanagan does some of this with Hill House and Bly Manor. The way that like different ghosts are fucking with everything. It's hard to tell sometimes exactly what is happening, but there are clues. And then, of course, once it's revealed, go nuts and have some crazy, awesome physical props to like just make everything crazy. And also, I'm not sure I'd want to make it without Robert Englund. He's Freddy through and through, and watching other people try to do Freddy is cringe.
Yeah, not a fan of Jackie Earl Healy then.
The interesting.
I mean, I like him as
your...
Rorschach. I don't like him as doing Rorschach while doing Freddy.
Yeah,
I find it fucking hilarious that Alan Moore hates Rorschach. Is like, and he seems to be really baffled people like him as well.
Well, it's the kind of similar idea of like Todd Phillips with the Joker. It's like, why are you identifying with this guy? It's like, well, you know, he's a downtrodden dude who's like suffering from mental health issues in a society that absolutely does not give a shit about him. Of course, you're going to have a certain degree of empathy for a character like that. It's not outside the realms of human experience. And it's like, no, we have to.
I think for Homelander, I mean, I hate the fucking Boys series 2 and 3 and 4, and but he's still the best thing in it. He's still the best thing that's actually well written, while all the other characters have just turned into fucking idiots.
Yep.
The best thing about the whole dream sequence of you just accept whatever happened, like your brain just accepts whatever's happening to you. If you've ever been in virtual reality, that is still true. Like you can put your brain in literally any situation, it just accepts it as real. As long as your eyes see it and your senses think it's true, have the same kind of stimulus. Doesn't matter whether it's 48p pixelated crap or like realistic stuff. Your brain just accepts it as reality and goes from there. So
well, the problem is like when your senses tell your body something that your eyes are saying something different. That's when you start to get the sickness. You know, like if you're doing virtual reality, it's like your eyes are telling you that you're walking around and your body's saying you're not. That's when you get a mismatch and your brain just kind of goes haywire and you start like wanting to throw up.
Yeah, it's because it's one of the first thing that poisons affects in your body is like your spatial ability and the room spinning and stuff like that. So the moment your eyes desync from the rest of your senses, it just thinks you've been poisoned and then wants to make you vomit like the poison up. So it's like a biological impulse.
That makes sense.
It's interesting what the point you made, Mo, as well about like the question of like whether you know you're dreaming or not, and like the sense of unreality in the world around you. Like the example I always use is The Shining, because if you actually watch those scenes where like Danny's like riding around his little tricycle through the hotel, it was all constructed by Kubrick. Like the sets, none of it's a real hotel, obviously. But they use such meticulous attention to detail that you believe it is. It doesn't look like a film set. But if you actually watch the layout of the place as he goes, it makes absolutely no sense. It's like this weird, incongruous like layout of like corridors and rooms that don't really fit together. And it's supposed to create that sense of unreality. Like you're not consciously aware of it, but your brain's subconsciously saying, this is weird. This isn't real. This isn't right.
That's what I mean about early on in an Elm Street film, you could have someone in the kitchen and they go upstairs and they're in the basement, but that they don't make it obvious. It's just during conversation, they casually enter the room and you're just like, wait a minute. That doesn't... And, just keeping you off.
Yeah, it's interesting that the movie put that much thought into it, because in Underworld, in the director's commentary, there's a bit about how they planned out the entire... Because essentially they're going up and down the same corridor and they just dressed it differently. So they said they planned out on a map where they were going in every single scene to make sure where they were going made sense and all the turns. And they thought it was wasted effort putting in that much work into something no one would be able to track in the first place. So it's interesting that in another movie they saw it from the other direction and thought, no, this is worth the effort.
I think it's a cool idea, MauLer, because of like they have those cues, and you as the audience pick up on the cues of the distorting and morphing environment slightly ahead of the characters. That creates a fun sense of dread and suspense, and a nice transition into a different phase. That'd be cool.
Next one is RRTNZ, a mighty panel. Great to see you supporting up and coming channels like my mate Bastard for Halloween. I'll watch the only real Crow film, R.I.P. Brandon Lee. Righteous Vengeance was never done better. Yep. Well, as we found out with the Crow remake, they have never topped the original. Some good stuff, though.
Yeah, the original is still the best 30 years later. And I finally read the comic for the first time not too long. It is. Yeah, Funboy's a sick fuck if you read that comic. He's pretty demented and he's surprisingly the most complex villain in it.
Yep. Kevbot says, "Happy Halloween, drinker. Thank you for never getting political on your channel. Over here in the States, we're getting buried in election crap. Thanks for keeping the bar safe and nerdy. Well, we do our best to be as apolitical as we can be. So yeah, we will. We'll just talk about stupid shit. Yeah, that's what we do.
Vote for drinker.
Yeah,
Most of us are from a different country.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Joey Bag of Donuts says, "I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, and when you find the time, I'd rather not spend this winter tied to this fucking couch."
That's great.
It's a great line, yeah.
Oh, have you watched the John Carpenter and Kurt Russell commentary when that scene plays out? They are laughing their fucking asses off, and it's really heartwarming. You can tell these two guys loved working with each other and enjoyed making this film together and all.
It's nice to see. I'll do a couple more just before we finish up here. Let's see. And I've lost my super chat list. Let me just bring it up again. No. I actually got a little message there saying, "Whoops, your tab just crashed."
Yeah, it's something that you're using Chrome, I'm guessing.
No, Firefox in this case.
Oh, no. Well, it's just
Yeah.
YouTube being shit then.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like last time, basically, where it all went wrong, and everyone was like, "Oh, the stream's lagging." It's like, well, it's not our fault. It's YouTube's. So what can I say? It's garbage.
This is so weird because just the other day I was trying to stream and I just wouldn't accept my microphone or my camera, so I just had to switch to Firefox and sorted it all out. Bizarre.
Yeah. Blue Collar Loser says, "With the cowl off, you actually look like Batfleck." Well, I mean, that's being generous. Like,
I didn't say that name.
yeah. Save Martha. Piston says, "Can we watch Batman?" No, we've got Batman at home. Tomorrow Lad says, "At a previous election, I voted as Megamind." That's a smart move, I would say. And OMG Puppy says, "Happy All Hallowed Eve to everyone. Have you ever seen The Magicians or read the books by Lev Grossman about a secret school of magic, but much darker and more adult than Harry Potter?"
I watched the series, and that does go into some dark places. It really does. I really enjoyed the series, actually. There's some very modern-day messaging in it, shall we say, but the rest of it was still worth watching.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I think I'll probably finish up there for the evening. But thank you. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys on Halloween.
Was it final fights or no? What was happening with that?
Wow. That was the question I was going to ask you, actually.
Oh.
Do you want to try and determine some kind of winner with this? My only slight concern is that we might have categories that are totally mismatched with each other, like serial killers versus supernatural ancient demons. I don't know if they're necessarily going to...
I'm actually a little bit fascinated
Hannibal
by...
ever going to survive this?
Well, but T-800 versus The Thing. That's such a, like, wait, what?
Well, yeah,
T-800
okay.
has to win between those
two. Well, I think let's see if we can settle this. So if I just go from top to bottom here, our serial killer category winner was Jason Voorhees, and our aliens category winner was The Thing. So if we pit them against each other,
I vote The Thing.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, like, he's technically unkillable, but like, I guess the Thing
can
would
the
take
Thing?
him over.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can the Thing like assimilate him? Can it?
I don't think there's any reason to assume it can't. That Jason will forever be known as Jason the Thing. It's gonna be a Jason thing.
Jason Thing.
Yeah, Jason Thing.
Okay.
I'll agree just for the pun. Yeah, that's fine with it.
Yeah. Okay, so the Thing takes over Jason and wins. That leaves us with our supernatural versus science gone wrong categories. So if we put
Zuzu versus...
No, I don't want to do that because that's going to eliminate the Terminator too quickly.
Yes.
All right. Let's go top to bottom as we did before. So The Thing versus Pazuzu from The Exorcist.
Well, that's the thing. How could the thing take over a demon? The thing could take over the demon's host, but not the demon itself. And could the demon possess the thing directly?
Can a demon possess the thing? I don't know.
You'd think so, right? Because it's a spiritual demon, which isn't. It's not limited to humans. It's
Okay,
let's
go through the sequence here. So, let's go through the sequence. So the demon possesses a human. The thing then takes over the human as its host, which still contains the demon, and then the demon would then hypothetically possess the thing because it's like an ancient evil creature.
I think as well, like if you assume like the demon has essentially almost unlimited control over the physical world and physical living creatures within it. And so the thing, as dangerous as it is as an organism, is still just a physical living creature. It's different from us, obviously, but it is still just a living creature. And I feel like the supernatural power of an ancient demon is probably going to trump that.
There's no reason to believe that a demon can't possess the thing directly, just like it could possess a human.
Could the thing possessed by the demon opt to leave from its possession into a different host, leaving the demon in the original host?
Well, I think it could possess the thing as a being, just like it could possess a human.
Yeah.
Like, the demon could possess any living being, surely.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much with the conversation right now. Like it's like a stalemate of mechanics. I don't know how we deal with this. I almost want to
in order for a demon to possess something, the thing it's possessing has got to have a soul in order for you to possess. Whereas a thing, it might just be like a pure organism that doesn't have a soul.
Thing doesn't.
Well, in this world, everything would need a soul. Like all living organisms wouldn't have to have a soul, surely.
Even like
you can't just go only humans have a soul.
Because I don't.
Even a blade of grass.
Well, I don't think you have to have a specific religious system
by that definition
in order to have a soul.
Just self-awareness is enough for possession.
Unless you're going, I can't remember which philosopher it was, but there was one philosopher, was it St. Augustine, who thought that animals were essentially like robots, and so they didn't have a soul. So the thing could essentially fall into that definition.
But can't you say that the thing is kind of like a virus, at the level of a virus that transmits? It doesn't necessarily have a soul to be possessible.
Well, it has intent and it has intelligence, so it would have to, like, it's more than just bacteria or whatever. I think that would imply that it has a consciousness, which probably means that it has a soul, if you want to think about it in those terms. And it says here, if there's demons, then there's a god, and if there's a god, then he made the thing. So the demon is more powerful than the thing.
There is a bacteria or a fungus which can overtake cockroaches and ants and all kinds of stuff that makes it climb up a thing and spread itself. And that that's just a fungus, so it doesn't have a soul.
Yeah.
The thing could be that kind of creature.
Yeah, so a demon couldn't possess a cordyceps.
And God may not decide to make the demon more or less powerful than the thing. I don't know what God's opinion is on that. With his sandbox.
Well, I think God leaves demons largely alone.
Well, isn't the point of demons that they are fallen angels? So
sure, but
again, with
whatever fiction you're running with changes their power level completely.
Yeah.
Whereas the thing has no.
I still can't imagine
traditional Christian.
I can't imagine a scenario where the thing is able to take on an ancient demon and possess it. I just can't.
The thing can assimilate the human being, but the demon will still have the spirit, and it'll be like not only will it be a human, it'll be like a supernatural thing human now.
I don't even think that's the question, right? Because these things are stuck in a room on their own. So all the thing has to do is possess both things and stop the demon being able to possess either of them, and it wins. Because in that little world, it's one. So the demon may not be able to, as long as the demon can't possess either corpse, because the thing has overtaken them, but it's still in control of both corpses, it wins. Because just in that little realm of a room. Like, in the real world, maybe it could possess something else and come back and kill it, but it's still been...
Well, the devil has the demon is possessing because it's waging a war about sin. It's proving that it can take the innocent and possess them, and then transfer them to sin and be
we're
corrupted.
Getting really philosophical if you go in there.
Yeah, whereas the thing can't be morally or sinfully corrupted because it doesn't have that kind of, it doesn't understand that conceptually. It's just a blank virus transmitting thing that's only based on its own survival. It's like basically if the devil tried to possess like a xenomorph, Like there's no soul there to try and possess.
You don't know they don't have souls. Maybe they have dreams and ambitions and they care about things.
Yeah, so
the thing
I
would
think
be
you're agreeing with me
screenwriting.
then. If the thing takes over both corpses so that neither of them can be possessed, then it wins.
I guess.
Mm.
I guess we got to do a vote then.
How would the thing win though, conceptually?
Well, because the thing would remove the soul from both corpses, it would kill both of them. So, like, the demon can't possess a corpse; it needs a soul. So, as long as the thing took over both bodies and was both bodies,
then you're
and therefore there was
basically
no soul exists in the room.
So the best scenario for the thing is like a stalemate, where like
well, no, because it eradicates. If there's no soul in the room, the demon can't possess either corpse, so it can't exist in that reality. It can only be outside of the room.
You could expand that through if Disparu's logic would carry through. Like if it was on Earth, the thing would eventually take over everyone, and the demon would just have no capacity to act. It would be done.
Yes, it would have to come in from another planet and another.
Yeah, it would be like if there were no humans left.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Are we actually suggesting that the thing would win?
It might do.
I think.
Well, should we vote then?
Well, I go thing. I've been a Pazuzu stan up till now. But I'm going.
I love it. MauLer?
I doubt it would kill Pazuzu, but I doubt it would kill.
But it doesn't need to win the fight, right?
Pazuzu
it only needs to eradicate it from the area.
I get the logic of if we're looking at it as a room and there are bodies in there, a thing body and a person body, and then the thing takes the person body, and then the thing looks around like, did I win? And it's like, I guess so, because the demon is operating, waiting for something. You know what I mean? Like the demon's like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, given the scenario,
I feel like it's a weird sort of like technical victory where it's like,
well, no, because do it across the entire universe. Eventually, the thing would spread around every single corpse and taking over every single person.
This is
and
one-on-one
would still have no one to possess.
But this is the one-on-one.
Pazuzu would get bored of fucking possessing people as well. It's like, it's just another thing, and this was the same as that. What's the point anymore?
Maybe the thing is God's ultimate weapon against the devil. You know,
Only
it's like,
it
well,
wipes out literally everybody.
If there's no living
Halo
beings
scenario.
in the universe, it's like, well, we win by default, motherfucker.
Maybe that's what the rapture will be. Who knows?
The thing did nothing wrong.
All right, cool. Let's give the thing a victory in this one.
We are running on the logic that it cannot be possessed by the demon because it's not human. Like we're if you grant that, I think the thing wins.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings us to our final confrontation. Then it's going to be a T-800 versus the thing.
Well, the T-800 is surrounded by human tissue. So is that enough?
Well, even if it did infect and duplicate and that shit, the Terminator would just walk into fire and win.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing the thing can do against the metal endoskeleton of the T-800.
It can't stab it even. It's not strong enough.
It can't crush it. It can't stab it. It can't really damage it in any realistic way.
There is a chance that if the thing has enough material to be a human, it can construct a weapon that could kill the Terminator / destroy it.
That would take time, and I feel like the Terminator would probably...
Mr. knows his movies. How long does it take for Blair to create the spaceship?
Well, that's like a couple of days.
It's like a day. It's ridiculously fast.
How much can the thing manipulate tissue?
And it doesn't. It hasn't finished the spaceship. It's only got like.
It hasn't finished it, but I think that's. I mean, all we need is a pipe bomb for the thing, which is probably easier to create than a spaceship.
So
I feel like if you just plonk them into a room with each other, like the T-800, like you say, would either just like walk into a fire, or it would.
Well, does it have the capacity to make fire in this room?
It's going to come down to then. It could potentially even be a stalemate. Like if they were just sealed in a room with nothing at their disposal,
it's a stalemate.
It's a stalemate. If there's any kind of weapons, if they're in any kind of like realistic environment where you can construct things, I think the T-800 would probably be quicker off the mark to be able to find something that would destroy the thing. Whether it's got
the plasma rifle, it's probably going to be able to wipe the thing out.
as the thing is changing into whatever destroys the T-800, the T-800 would be smacking it. So I don't think it would ever be able to
I
finish.
don't know if smacking the thing's going to do much, though.
It would be literally tearing it to shreds. Like, it's only
Again, that's
a
what is
biological entity.
fire
It's
is
very
the way
easily ripped.
it just reseals. Like that's because the thing tears itself apart. That's how it works. Like you gotta burn it.
Oh.
Well, the thing is that the thing can morph and twist and weld the tissue, so it would weld the T-800's hands together and limbs together. So
Nah, it wouldn't be strong
No,
enough for that.
It can't do that. No,
It'd be no stronger than our flesh and bone is compared to the T-800, and that can
it's
just
just
like
a matter
tear
of
through anything.
which one will get to a weapon that can kill the other first. And if the scenario is there's no weapons for them to grab, it might just be that it's stalemates.
My God, is that what we've reached?
Well, I mean, it's up to you, Drew. If you drop them,
been reduced to.
If you drop them in a city and they're not too far away from each other, and it's like 3, 2, 1, go, the Terminator's got to run up to it and burn it before the thing can get to materials.
But they
to
wouldn't.
build.
He wouldn't know to burn it in the first place.
Well, it depends.
Like,
on
you'd
the
have to
rules.
mess with it first.
It's up to drink.
Well, it's. I think the T-800 certainly has the ability to analyze what it sees in front of it, whether it's a human or an object or whatever. And in this case, an alien organism. It would probably be able to detect what it is, or at least its general makeup. And if you gave it the directive, you have to terminate this thing. Yeah. I think it would probably be able to do it. Like if we took them outside the blank room environment and put them into some kind of like real world setting, whether it's a city or whatever, I think it would find a resource to destroy the thing quicker than the thing could construct some kind of weapon to take out the Terminator. My money would be on the T-800.
I mean, I agree in the end result, just for different reasons. I think that the thing would rely on its speciality of taking over other things, and so the moment it couldn't take over the T-800, it'd be like,
Well, that's actually a real big
stuck.
concern. If we're in a cityscape and the thing gets out of the T-800's like view and starts to just licking some people as it's running away, like, oh, we're fucked. The thing's gonna win.
Because that would be its preferred method of attack. It would.
It really is about the environment. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Could the thing slink into the microscopic crevices in the T-800, find its computer chip, recognize that as its driving power source, destroy it, and then turn it into like essential walking zombie thing? That
I don't think it would have the sophistication
I wouldn't go that far.
to do that.
No,
but
getting
it could
inside
hide
the micro,
inside.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
You might be able to, if you can get really inside it, but the thing is, if the T-800 walks into a fire, it might be enough to still kill it at that point.
But there's still
that
relies
was
on
an
being
interesting
fire
point,
in the
though.
room. Like, why is there a fire going in the corner?
Well,
of
that's
the
the
room?
thing. It depends on the environment. Yeah.
I think if I had to like just go on the balance of probabilities and like the all the different scenarios you could put them into, I'd probably take the T-800 winning in the majority of them, just on the basis that the thing can't defeat it by normal means. It can't infect it. It can't fool it necessarily. All it's going to have is maybe the ability to construct weapons that could blow it up or whatever, but I think that would take too long. And I think in that time, the T-800 would probably take it out on the basis that it's also bigger and stronger and,
I think if you open up the environment, we enter so many variables that the thing gets super benefited from, like if there's a populace, like if it can split itself apart and the T-800 has to, hunt down both of them before it can construct a pipe bomb.
Yeah, but there has been no other fight which has allowed other people to actually.
Yeah, I think it'd be unfair to put like a human population in that it could infect, because then you just get into crazy territory where like anything could happen.
Yeah,
like
but
alien, if it could start breeding, then you'd be like, well.
But like we have to throw something in because the T-800 can't beat it otherwise. You have to throw in either the rifle or some way to make fire.
Well, I thought the T-800 won if there wasn't a person, because starting from
win.
zero knowledge. I think the T-800 wins.
The two of them
the
in a room with nothing but the two of them, nobody wins. The thing can't be beaten by being punched. It's alive at like the blood level. It'll just keep reforming and moving.
I think if you
same thing, really.
I think if you opened it up then to the most basic level, just to give them something to work with, like an environment where there's the ability to construct simple weapons or fire or whatever, I think the T-800 would probably win. I think it would be quicker off the mark than the Thing in terms of constructing rudimentary weapons that could take out its opponent. Because I think it's a lot easier to destroy the Thing than it is to destroy the T-800, if you know what I mean. Like fire, like throwing it into a bonfire would kill it, whereas the T-800 is going to take explosives or whatever.
That's very relative, I guess, because it really
kind of is.
I'm not sure. Like cavemen could destroy the Thing. Like caveman technology could destroy the Thing. Caveman technology couldn't destroy the T-800. So even if you just put the T-800 in a forest, well, now he's got trees to work with and fuel. So if he knew that's what he needed to do, he could definitely start a fire with that.
I think I agree on the balance of probabilities that the T-800 wins more than the Thing does, but it's an interesting fight.
Yeah. My God. So if we go on that basis, right, we have found our ultimate movie monster. It is the T-800.
Worthy winner.
Beaten everything.
Which seems wrong, to be honest.
Yeah,
which seems wrong.
When the T-800 should have won whatever we've just done.
When we look at like extra dimensional demons,
like there's definitely you shouldn't have won that. Like,
but then like in some cases when it comes down to stalemate or whatever, like the ability to just not interact with each other, like somehow the T-800 has succeeded. So,
well, it's its absence of a soul that feels no pity or remorse, and that's basically the thing that gets us over the edge, I think.
I think so, yeah. Which I think is a nice way to finish up. But yeah,
good
well done,
job, science and AI. Well done.
Yeah,
very scientific.
It was. We deployed a whole team of scientists to do this study.
Truly,
But gentlemen, thank you for coming on tonight. This has been a great little Halloween get together, and it's nice to do something a little bit different like this rather than just the usual stuff. So thank you, and thank you, chat, for joining us. You might not agree with our assessment of which monster won which
that a
particular
waifu
fight.
maid would be the most powerful thing in the universe.
I think so. Once they have an AI Sydney Sweeney, we are fucked as a species. And so will that bot be.
Yeah, but in the best possible way, though.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, we'll probably finish up there. But thank you, guys. And if we didn't get to all your super chats, obviously, but we will answer the remaining ones.
I was just going to say, literally, I think 6 hours. Yeah, 6 hours left on the plushie Halloween promotion, and you got your plushie running as well, right, Drinker?
I do. Yeah, I've got like 2 weeks left on that one, but yeah, you can get the Critical Doggo and the revised Critical Drinker plushie if you go on the Makeshift store, and you can get your EFAP specials, your Halloween special plushies.
Literally about to be off the market forever. We're
this
also
is your last chance. Do it now.
We're like 5% away from getting Rags' total up enough that we can force Fringy to play Lord of Ring Golem. So we're trying to get that. Like it's close. We're getting there. I think we can get him if we just get one of them to 1250. That was like what he had mentioned. So we're gonna get it. It's gonna be great, and all 3 of them will have to play it, and we can laugh at their suffering. That's kind of the hope, anyway.
Nice. And yeah, Mauler, you need to play Astrobot apparently.
I'm gonna stream after this, but I'm not sure if I'm doing that whole Veilguard. Yeah, because I've been hearing lots of meme potential. I want to go on the character creation thing and make like a Shrek person.
Try and make someone attractive, see if it happens.
I honestly like if you try and make an attractive person, you will end up with Shrek. I think that's the only
I want like a fat wizard or something.
Try and make Sydney Sweeney, see how it turns out.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you, guys. And that is all we've got for today. So, go away now.
Bye.
That's it.
Are we out? Or